welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, angels and demons and monsters and serpents. This is Brothers of the Serpent podcast, coming to you not live once again in the 10 by 10 by 10 tangent cube of science, where we are nestled amongst the dusty bones of an ancient seabed high atop the Everest Plateau, back in Texas after 6 weeks in Egypt and then 2 weeks sick. So I had a pretty bad lingering cough from, I don't know, it would have started in the first time we went to...
You've been back for 2 weeks already?
Yeah. I picked up the cough. It started in, which it usually does. The other times we've gone there, I start coughing in Luxor. And then it lasts up into Aswan. And then we went to the Fayum and it got worse. And then we went back to Cairo and it started to get better. And then we went back to Luxor and it came back. And then it got worse and worse, and then we flew back here, and then I picked up all the pollen and everything that's happening here for spring, and it got worse again, and it got really bad. So it's finally calming down. Everything's settling back in. Kyle's back at work. I'm sort of back at work. I've done some work. We did some... What did we do? We did some racking. Yeah. But 6 weeks in Egypt. Did we learn anything? Did we find any answers to any mysteries?
44 days.
44 days.
It's 44 days. Yeah, long time. We learned some stuff.
Oh yeah, and Ben's here with us.
Yeah.
I've been waiting. He's probably been waiting for me to mention that. Yeah, sorry, Ben is joining us.
Come on.
I'm out of practice.
It's all right. How was your return, Ben?
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Not much. I was in the same position. It's a little worn out. Probably needed a bit of downtime more than anything else, just to not be moving.
Yeah.
Constantly for a few days. I was a little ill, just the usual exhaustion. I mean, I was tired. I at the end of that tour, I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, it was a fantastic trip. I'd say this. We went from deserts to oceans. We did scuba diving. We were at the Red Sea with pyramids, climbing around. And it's we don't set a super hectic pace, but it's we're there to see stuff on these trips, and every day involves bus rides, or we're in jeeps and boats and planes, and I mean I was kind of counting down the flights by the end of the tour on how many flights it'd take to get back home, and then and being a bit of a homebody anyway, I was just I was a little ill for a couple of days, but yeah, I think sleep ultimately fixed that. But yeah, I'm just found myself to be just terribly behind on everything else. Like you take out 6 weeks, and it's just like, man, I've got a lot of stuff to catch up on.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the scuba diving was awesome.
Epic, mind blowing.
Yeah. 80 feet. We're not supposed to go that far. Yep.
Busted through the limits.
Little below the floor of our open water certification there, but it was amazing.
There were no police down there.
Yeah. Turned out.
Did not get busted.
You were fine.
No one to stop us.
There was one time when our guide grabbed Laura and just pulls her up.
Yeah, because she kept going down.
Sinking.
Yeah.
And we were on a wall. We were on this beautiful wall up in the Red Sea.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it kept going.
That was incredible.
Yeah, it was cool. And you were right. It's open. I think, your open water is 18 meters, and then advanced is 30 meters. And then there's a deep dive at 40 meters, which is narc territory. But I think we got was it 80 feet, I guess 26, 27 meters, I think was the deepest dive.
My spiffy fancy new dive watch said 81 feet was my max depth. I think Laura was below me when I was down there.
A little bit. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it's for anyone who hasn't done that kind of diving, you don't even realize. I can see how you can easily go too far if you're not really paying attention. Because I mean, we're just going down, and I'm looking at the fish and the walls and just how amazing it is. And then I look, my watch starts, my watch starts tapping me. It's like, bzz, bzz, and I look, oh man, all the numbers are red. It's telling me I'm too deep.
Yeah, wall dives are tricky. I've done a bunch of them. You do have to watch your depth, because it is easy to just sort of diagonally just drift down, and then you find yourself, I'm like, damn, I'm at 35 meters, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. You have to just take it easy going back up, but it limits your bottom time is the main thing.
Yeah.
The deeper you go, I mean, most, recreational diving those tables are very safe. They're built around all sorts of different physiologies, and it's mostly about how it's all no decompression diving, so it's all about how slowly you ascend back up and you do all that safely. It's fine to go down deep, but all it does is you use more air and you shorten up your dive. So I've done a lot of diving, and over the years, I mean, I love sort of 15, 16 meters is fantastic because you can be there for an hour, you know, and you see all the stuff. So.
I can't be there for an hour, not on a 15-liter tank. Our dives were what, 45 minutes, and every time
Russ was blowing clouds in there, just.
I was watching it, Yeah, you were buddy breathing with the instructor. Every time. Yep. He'd grab you. I'd run over and look at your thing and tap the thing and say he's at 70 bar and I was like, come here.
Yeah, we're still at 40 feet.
On the hose. Put you on the hose for a few minutes. Yep. Just extend it out. Yeah. Yep. Nah, it was good. It worked out. Yeah, that stuff will come.
Need a bigger tank.
Yo, Sailor Curse, what up, bro?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
What up, big sailor?
Big tanks. Come on.
Hey, man, no worries, man. Thank you, buddy.
We'll just get you 2. Yeah.
Thank you for being you, my friend.
Yeah. It was incredible, man. The boat, we
It was just a lot of people talking. That's all it was. It was hard to.
And it was this huge boat.
It's hard to determine, like my stream.
All these people crowding onto these boats, and we had our own. This is cool.
It's like a triple.
Like, what do you mean?
It had 3
Totally fucked. It was just a lot of people talking. That's the only thing I noticed.
Well, 3 if you count the engine room, I guess. But yeah, it was very cool. But you could have put 60, 70 people on this boat.
Yeah.
I don't know, 50 people maybe, but we had, 10.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's the plan for the next one. I think we enjoyed it so much that I think the next, and Yusuf loves it too. He keeps talking about getting certified. He did do the intro to scuba dive, so he did a little bit of that.
Yeah, you can tell that guy that my interview went well. Thank you very much. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Getting certified. You can get certified in the Red Sea, and it'd be a really great way, I think, to end a 2-week trip in Egypt would be to let's go and spend 5 or 6 days on the Red Sea, which is just beautiful, chill. You don't have to dive or do anything, but it's just a beach, snorkel, coral.
Yeah, buddy, it went really well. It went exceptionally well, to be honest. My fingers are crossed, man.
Make that part of it, get certified, and at the end we all go out on a boat, private.
Yeah, I know, it's all good, man.
And snorkel together.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic day out.
He did not shake me, my friend.
I think that'd be a lot of fun, and then. Yeah, because in the future, I'd love to.
But I mean, he's right though. It's a pretty funny comment. That's a pretty funny comment. It's like, why are you simping for this guy? Like, honestly, like, who cares? Who cares about this fucking guy? I was definitely like simping. I wasn't requesting simping, but like it was simping tier.
Japan, yep, Malaysia, all these places. There's a lot of.
It's pretty funny.
To go and dive on, Nanmadol, all these other things. Yeah, I think would be really interesting. Graham Hancock is
I might have said something like that too.
These things underwater, and it's a huge part of this. So
yeah,
that's the plan.
Yeah, what was it? The last day.
No, man, it's a
on the Felucca ride.
Dude, I was offered that job in China. That's my backup now. This job is a hazardous waste management.
Like, where are we gonna dive? How are we gonna do it?
Hazardous waste management manager role in Canada. In Canada and in Quebec and Ontario. Yeah, buddy. It'd be working with all like my old co-workers and shit again at a new company. Yeah, buddy. It would be such an atonement. It'd be insane because it's a higher position than I was at Stericycle. And everyone's like, oh, what are you doing? Like, you're crazy for leaving Stericycle, all this shit. I'm like, no, I'm not. They're fucking holding me back in my life. So there's no anger, there's no bitterness, but for me to come back as like a more senior role in a new company would be insane. But I don't know, man. I did my best, dude. So I don't have any permit writing experience or auditing experience. And I said that, right? They know that.
I'll just describe it.
So I would have to learn
Videos of this, but
permit writing and auditing.
there's a series of pyramids there, and they
But I said I like to learn and it's a passion of mine, so I'd really enjoy doing that.
comes down into the desert.
Yo, what's up, Toad? It's very good, man. I have no offer yet, though.
Like a lot of these causeways do, like they've either been dismantled or they're totally buried. But it's noticeable, and off a couple of these pyramids, you can see the causeway sort of goes down and disappears, but then farther out in the desert, there's this hole in the desert where there's grasses.
They are advertising
And
between
here they have
100,000 and 115,000 Canadian dollars a year, plus a 10% potential bonus based on
and there is
performance.
some kind of structure.
It'd be insane. It would change my life. It would save me and this family. It really would, man. Like, I'm in not great financial shape. I'm in pretty, like, dire financial shape. But whatever, I've lived an amazing few years. I wouldn't change a thing. Yeah, man. It's a senior role, bro. Dude, it's my manager's like my old manager's manager role. It's like a 2-step up. Hell yeah, it's 618. Fuck yeah, buddy. Fuck yeah. Canada gives me $410 a month. Canadian. But if I get a job, I'll get off welfare, obviously. But yeah, Toad, I didn't want to write it, but dude, I can't wait to fucking hire you in Chambly, Quebec, my man. Not for fucking conflict of interest. I don't know, like conflict of interest shit in the future. You've worked at Stericycle, at on-floor experience, so
It's hard to tell
that's what I'm saying, man.
the
You applied to Chambly.
look like, but it seems like from like looking down the causeway away from the pyramid to the right.
Nice, buddy. That's huge. 618. That's nice. Is that just for disability,
Part of the temple, and it has this beautiful,
or does that include social assistance?
and they and then the walls too are encased. The wall is encased, and it's like
So in Canada, it's province level.
they're not square. They have tilted lines, and the blocks are bigger or smaller, in this sort of like classical cyclopean style. But it looks like
Yeah, man, it'd be insane if I get this job, dude. This is like a fucking a lifer job, man. Honestly. And I need to, man. Like, I'm 38 years old. Like, I'm just thinking for fucking, like, when I'm older, man. If I don't start making money now, I'm going to be in really bad trouble when I'm older. And I don't want a hard life. You know what I mean? I don't want a hard life. Sorry. I want a successful, working hard life, but I don't want to fucking... So, yeah, man. Dude, I'm either doing that or I'm going to China, man. My head is all over the place. So I got options.
because it has you can see in the paving stones
But China pays
natural rock.
50,000 Canadian dollars a year
It looks like it's got an octagonal,
before 20%
you know, it kind of looks like a turtle,
tax.
but also it looks like it would have been Columbia basalt.
So after tax, you're taking home about $36,000 in China. And in Canada, you'd be taking 80 at least, which would be insane.
Still there of this octagonal pattern in some of the blocks, and then the other ones have these strange veins of what look like shattered basalt strewn through them in almost
Social Security. Oh, what nice, dude. What about
like you know like it's hard to describe.
your disability? Do you get money for disability too?
You can see what it looks like.
Because in Canada, it's like 2 separate ones.
So there's a natural fracture,
3 feet tall, yeah.
and then at a later
Dude, I went to Hong Kong.
injection of liquid.
I swear to God, the double-decker buses, the ceiling is like 5.5 feet high, so you had to duck down to go and get into the bus. That's what it was in 2004. They may have increased it.
Material was taken from a quarry and then
Maybe not though. Double-decker.
to the floor, to the floor tiles.
Mainland China people are taller though.
Those newer
Yeah, dude. I was moving like if I don't get this job, I'm moving to Dongying, China, bro.
glass, like it's been exploded
Dongying,
an effect that's happening to the basalt itself.
China,
But
Shandong
we went there and I
province.
thought, what happened to these tiles? You know, I was thinking
They give me a free apartment and shit, dude.
the construction
It's like 2 dream opportunities at the same time, man. I'm pretty lucky. It's pretty fucked though. I've been applying for the last 2.5 years.
I have no idea, but that was my idea from seeing it.
I was thinking, why would what is the purpose of building a temple at the base of the ramp? Where you need to slide your stones up to build the pyramid. Is that just like
Yeah, dude. They asked if I had
Build this giant ramp
an offer, and I said yes, I do. I have another offer somewhere. I'm like, okay,
tile, and then
time to expedite it. I guess we talked about that.
done with construction? We'll build a temple.
But if they say they're giving it to someone else, I'm like, okay, well, that's fine, I understand. But like, I'm gonna be in China.
I know it's a causeway,
Like, I don't think I'm gonna. Dude, it was a really successful interview, man. I'm turbo hopeful, bro. Like, I'm really hopeful, man. Again, it just depends who else is applying for it, right? That's really because I'm good enough for the job, I think, and I think they know that. But it's just who the fuck else is applying? Because man, I'm just like I don't know anything. I'm just a fucking new guy. You know what I mean? There's some like people who've been around for like 20, 30 years. It would change my life.
That's now buried again, but you used to be able to see where that channel block, there were blocks right at the end of the causeway that went under it. And now it's
I did not, my friend. I'm sorry. I can read it. I'll read it though.
there's a few places where it's exposed walking up
Oh, ho, ho. No, yes.
infrastructure.
Dude, there is hope, man.
Old Kingdom sites, most of them that are in
Despite the astrology, Venus squaring
these channel blocks.
Pluto today, holy moly.
But at atmosphere, it's still pretty intact. Like they were, in fact, that
We've survived the Venus-Pluto square
the big area in front of the pyramid so much.
yet again.
There were copper pipes in those or something. Some sort of infrastructure. User thinks they might have actually been written up before to get it copper. Because you still see the channel blocks that are running all under this big square, this big sort of, the big, basically,
Maybe that's what it is.
what was beneath the floor
The
of
birth of this new job and the destruction of the Chinese jobs that I was applying for, maybe, who knows. Or the destruction of this job. Something's gonna I'm gonna be working. I'm gonna be working, my friends. Finally.
And then there's bowls, to collect the rope. Doesn't make any sense.
There's bowls at the end of it.
I need to though, man. I have too much debt.
We see the quartzite bowls that
I have way too much fucking debt.
which are hard to make out of a tough.
And I gotta start fucking
There's even one
retirement planning shit, honestly.
atmosphere. It actually there's a channel block that comes out that points directly at the pyramid.
I need to start investing
It's sort of that
as soon as possible.
But who knows what was there before that? It's the road growth
Else I'm gonna
theory,
get
I think Robert
fucked
Temple
forever.
primarily as trying to explain the big channel block that's in the Sphinx Temple of Giza, that big granite block that seems to work sharp.
Yeah, man, it'd be great for my relationship too.
It goes under the wall and into the it comes out of the ground in the temple and then goes beneath the exterior wall of the temple.
Yo, buy Toadcoin, yeah, really.
There's like an alleyway there. That's basically
I know. I had no capital to invest and buy coin the last few years.
temple and the bedrock cutout they put the temple
I mean, I could have taken debt, but I don't know.
and enclose your wall. And this channel block set
I was never planning to go into so much debt. I was planning to be working.
down again. And it just doesn't make any sense.
What's up, Kozlak? How are you, man? You too, bro. You too, my man.
What's down? It must be going somewhere.
I mean, and you've got to get access. Like there's a channel, like whether or not doesn't matter what you think was the purpose of that channel block. Like you don't put a block in with a channel, and you have to get something in there. Like it has to be. It's obviously functional. I don't care if people think it's a sewer or whatever it is. Whatever you think it is, there's something at the other end of that.
Right.
Well, there has to be.
Yeah.
So how are you accessing that? Is there just some passage going into that enclosure wall somewhere? There's no obvious
Unemployment can be bad, yeah.
sort of outside the Sphinx temple that are closed going in that direction. It could be underground. Yeah. So
Well, I mean, it's been crazy, man. I've been so just like mentally. I lost my mind during the discrimination against the unvaccinated in September 2021 to pretty much like still. I completely lost my mind. I couldn't work. I couldn't think. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stop sweating.
things go down 100 feet or whatever, at least that you can see, and they're not fully excavated. They're very regular and very well cut.
Yep.
They've got grates over them. There's no real documentation on them. And then if you walk around and if you spend, you guys
Like, what the fuck?
a day.
Yeah.
The days off we had spent hours walking around the plateau. And you can literally find 100 or more of these doors that have been sealed up. You know, in some cases they've been sealed up for probably 100 years.
Yeah.
Where the sand's 3/4 full. The bottom, you know, it's the sand's up to 3/4 of the door now.
Yep.
But it's just these passages that disappear into the bedrock. That then they put these sidewalls.
Yeah, so it might be some sort of spiritual. Like spiritually, it would make the most sense if I get this job in Canada. Just working with all my old people and friends and.
An enormous digital map of the entire site with all these tunnels and where they all go, or where, you know,
It'd be amazing. It'd be insane.
This is a video game. I'd be looking for the freaking map.
And maybe this China thing was just create leverage. Right? Like, I had no leverage before. I had none.
To basically look at where this channel block runs under the ground.
Well, based on what happened to us get in there, I'm not sure anyone's been in there in a long
Now I have like a lot of leverage, which is insane.
So we had a special permission. I'll say this about the groups. The groups we were with was phenomenal. Like we already had 6 or 7, you know, special permissions on the trip. Which
Like good intentions leverage.
on Egypt tours, but that wasn't enough. And these guys, both tours, like we did one at the start, one at the end of that 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Both tours signed up for another 3. And we ended up doing 10.
10 special missions per tour.
Unbelievable. Per tour, yeah. It was, I couldn't believe it. And Sphinx Temple wasn't on the itinerary, but we went in there.
Yeah.
But so we had permission to get in there, and yeah, so they couldn't find the key. So we did take an alternative route to getting in there, which
They found a key.
we did find a key. We found a key to open the door. But yes.
It reminded me of the scene. Reminded me of the scene from
Push me.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where he's in the
No, Boris, like what? Dude, I literally slapped like his face, bros. Like what? What? Oh. I missed him. I didn't slap him. I did not slap him.
Anyway, we did get it out there. I remember Lisa's guys again. I just had a pleasure that few will experience. He was so happy when he got to bust his tail.
It was awesome.
We were there with the inspector, just to be clear. Like, we were there with the inspector who should have had the key like stuff to break it and get on the panel, which then we came back and did it again a month later, and there was a new lock.
And he had the key.
They had the key.
He has the guy has a wad of keys and he's like looking through and you know most of them are rusted and unidentifiable and he's trying to figure out which one opens this rusted unidentifiable lock.
Yeah, so I'm really lucky. I'm really blessed.
And then replaced the lock with a new one and then we were able to get in.
There is hope for the future.
That was funny at the time.
And I want to give back to you guys. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about like conflict of interest and hiring friends, but like, you know, if you want to apply for a job and I'm working there, Toad, right? Chambly, the other side, the south side of the river.
Great groups. Both groups were great.
And if I'm in China, fucking get you guys to come to China, teach in China, teach English.
Cut the bedrock away, much like the Sphinx. The Sphinx temple is also
I'm sure there's a school that doesn't require a bachelor's degree. I'm sure there must be.
and yet the outer wall on
It's insane.
one side.
Why do you need a bachelor's degree to teach children English? Like, come on.
Bedrock cut. Like it's strange that
Like what? No, no. I wanna challenge. I wanna challenge a
They
decision.
didn't make the wall out of bedrock technically. I mean, I guess that could have been allowed or wall. But it's just strange. It's just an empty hallway
Yeah.
that has nothing but that channel block section cut into the ground. Maybe there's more underground. I don't know. But it's just so strange. Like, okay, they cut the bedrock down and they move like 12 feet over and build a wall out of the bedrock blocks that they just cut out of the wall. It's strange. I mean, so much about that temple is an enigma.
Yeah, you're right. I think what you're pointing out is that the part of the temple that's closest to the Sphinx is the bottom part of it is rock cut.
It's rock cut.
It's cut out of the bedrock.
Yeah, and they left walls standing that are just bedrock.
Yeah. But then this part where they have obviously also cut it out of the bedrock, they nevertheless stacked blocks to make the exterior wall of the temple 12 feet away from a bedrock wall. This is like, it is very strange.
And spending that much time, or as much time as we have, going around and looking at the engineering aspects of these buildings and sites, it's clear that they had their reasons. They had a plan. They were masters of their craft. So
Thanks, guys. You guys are my true friends. You know that?
you know already that these were
It's true.
builders.
Yeah.
So it's so strange that would be.
Some of the other stuff when we did our between tour walk in Giza, that was fantastic because, Kyle and I have spent a lot of time at various large pieces of land where there's many, many acres and it's rough and rugged. And if you spend some time out there and walk it, instead of just driving down the road, but you actually get out and walk the land. You go between the different, you wander. You go between the different landmarks. You walk up and down the canyons. You check out the hilltops, but you do it on foot. You really get a much better feel for the land itself. And so every time we've gone to Giza, it's been in the context of like we drive up there in the bus, we all get out of the bus, we check some things out, we get back on the bus, and then the bus circles around to another place on the plateau to get back out. So this time to go out there, we just went in the main entrance, the entrance near Yusuf's shop, and just spent all day walking. With no guides, no one telling us what to do, and except for plenty of people trying to tell us what to do. We told them to F off.
Discovered the secret.
Yeah, there was just so much amazing stuff, like climbing around and you realize like there is, for one thing, just doing, like I was saying, just walking it, I got a much better feel for the size of the place. Like we actually walked between all the pyramids, we checked out all the satellite pyramids. We went to the edges of we went down to Incaus, walked through that area. We've been there before, but to walk through this stuff instead of being taken there. Looking at the satellite pyramids, it's very
Why?
interesting because both sets, there's two sets of three, one set near the Great Pyramid and the other set near Ankara. The first thing I noticed is that both sets have this similar aspect where there's one that looks very pyramid-like, and then there's a second one, the one in the middle, that looks more like a mastaba, and then the third one is very destroyed. Both sides have it. It's really strange that there's in such similar conditions.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Those satellite pyramids are fascinating. There's something that I like your point about walking around. I've done that same thing. I didn't go to those that time. I was tired.
I told him, I was like,
not going to the
I told him, I was like, we're making all the discoveries. He was like, I had a great nap.
I've seen it.
I discovered 4 hours of sleep while you guys were walking.
Yeah. I have done the same. I'm glad you guys did that because I've done the same thing.
Yeah.
A few times. And but it's just for a minute. Those satellite pyramids are interesting because I finally. He's been trying to tell me this for a couple of years, and he was pointing out something that I finally tweaked to on this trip, which is that there is very strong evidence for basically 4th dynasty recycling and construction
Yes.
of those.
I've been saying this too.
Of those satellite pyramids. Like, those things are made, and it's very clear when you see it. They're made from recycled blocks that they got from someone else.
Yeah.
And apparently there's no debate that this is all main, standard model says they're thought them to be like queens and daughters or whatever. Well, the daughter, funny story.
The daughter story, yeah.
The daughter story. Yeah, we're trying to explain this to some of the girls. I'm doing, what is he saying about this? Well, the story goes that Cuckoo was broke at the time.
Yeah.
When he was trying to make his pyramid for his daughter. So he decided to rent the daughter out.
Yeah.
And,
One stone per suitor.
Yeah, 1 stone per suitor. So she's a busy girl. And that's how we built the pyramid. Yusuf always then picks up a small rock and goes, how much do I get? What do I get for this stone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hilarious story.
It is a funny story. But yeah,
Wait, is that actual Egyptian myth about this, or is that a joke?
Where it comes from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's some sort of myth from time. I mean, it is a story that comes down from. I mean, I don't know where it comes from. I've not really done the research. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
How's the controller toad?
Particularly accurate. But it's some sort of rumor.
Well, yeah.
Dirty rumor.
Yes.
Oh, fake news,
No, come on, that's so bogus. Like what?
Yeah,
fuck you.
Recycle. Yeah. That's really cool.
There's quarrying, like literally you see the shapes, they're stones that have finished surfaces, and in fact they may have come off some other structure.
Yeah.
That then these finished surfaces have got quarry marks on them where they were basically painting like fix this, like chip this off, like
Yeah.
straighten this out and make it into that pyramid casing stone on the outside, because it's that Tura limestone, but it's come from somewhere else, and then you can see where they've done it, and there's unfinished parts of it, and then there's blocks where they never actually started to touch them, and it's not in that pyramid shape. It's really interesting. I'm like, yeah, they were definitely pulling stone from somewhere else to make these things.
But when you go to the satellite pyramids of Bukhara, they have the exact same granite casing stones. Right? They look
Oh my goodness, Nikki. Oh my goodness. You're making me blush.
The Great Pyramid or whatever. They've also got Tura on the
Oh my goodness.
pyramids and then the granite
Woo!
casing Bukhara. The satellite pyramids.
You guys go in there? You guys have been in that satellite pyramid?
Didn't go inside.
I think somebody was offering to take us in there. But I mean, he was basically trying to tell us it was a statue or something, and we could go in. Like, but it also seemed at first like he was telling us not to be where we were.
I was doing my best to ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the risk. It's tough to do when you're out there and you don't have an Egyptian with you.
Yeah.
You'll definitely get a little attention from the vendors and everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. So our general policy is just to try to ignore everybody.
Yeah. That's the right way to do it.
But this guy had a whistle, so he was trying to be like, he was trying to like act like he was. Yeah. He kept like blowing this whistle at us, and we're like, what? Are we doing something wrong?
Yeah, Sailor, I mean,
For us to pay for him to take a photo.
you don't have to share all your info on Twitch chat if you don't want, but in Ontario, there's social security assistance. Then there's also disability. So I tried to get a doctor to get disability too, because I am disabled because of my hearing. Because of a workplace injury, as you know. But I can't get a doctor.
Well, there's more to say
Like, it's
on
fucked.
Giza, but let's take a break.
My 77-year-old mom doesn't have a doctor either. Paid taxes for like 37 years. At least my dad's 77. He doesn't have a doctor. Like, it's fucked, bro.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Brothers of the Surfer Podcast. Cheers to you all. So good to be back. It was great to be there, but it's also great to be back. And good to be back in the studio doing the podcast. Great to have Ben on, as usual, or a spontaneous. Yep. Maybe he will actually publish. Should put this on your podcast feed. Probably gonna happen.
I do need to make some more podcasts.
Yeah, I was so excited. A new Uncharted X podcast would come out.
You need to invite me on. You need to invite me on. I got hot takes.
Yeah, Russ's turn next.
Yeah, that's my turn.
That was good. That was fun.
I need part two.
And we'll definitely do part 2 as well. I think we should do that.
So, the thing that really struck me this time in Egypt was this idea of the primordial mountain. I know I talked about it a lot while we were there, but you know, a little window into that idea, I think, was the first time we went with you in what, 2022? 21. Was the King Kawas pyramid on the plateau. Now that primordial mound is exposed. Now you can see they've literally shaped the bedrock into this somewhat angular shape, and then they've stacked, you know, there's a bunch of blocks stacked on top of it, but you can see the depressions on the sides where they had kind of fit other blocks to it to make what I was assuming was a pyramid shape. And so that was kind of a window into this idea of the primordial mountain, this natural bedrock that exists that they didn't remove. So then we went to the mountaintop pyramid. I keep forgetting the name of it. Hawaii. Fascinating. And it's very similar to Kit Kawas, but huge, much bigger. And I kind of see that pyramid as the same thing. Like what we're looking at there is the primordial mound that's at the top of this mountain. And you can see how they sort of stair-step cut it. They shape the bedrock. And the bedrock itself is kind of, it's not good. I wouldn't consider it great structural material.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different layers of limestone, some of which are like a really loose conglomerate. Some are highly fractured chert. It's not very well solidified. It's full of fractures. So you can just see it's just falling out of there. There's some chalk layers, really soft stone, and there's a lot of the calcite crystals.
Why?
Yeah.
What is this? Like, why?
And you get up there, and you know, the first thing I did when we got there the first time is I just started walking around it slowly and looking at how they literally at the bottom of it, they're fitting granite casing stones up against the bedrock. Yeah. So like that bedrock, that was the outside of the pyramid. And of course, as you
What?
go up, you can follow the angle. It's truncated, like the bedrock's cut off. It's this huge flat area up there. If you climb up on top of the bedrock, you can walk around. It's just giant. So they flattened the top of it, and then there's just massive limestone blocks laying around up there that must have been part of the core masonry. So they literally built like a hat. You know what I'm saying? The pyramid it's pyramid shaped, and then it's like this hat that fits on this piece of bedrock that they
My movement is just so terrible.
hole in the bed. Yeah, I was gonna say,
Like, it really is, man.
that's the thing. The way I look at that now is like, okay, this is how they're preparing for the internal subterranean chamber and possibly upper chambers, and they've made this huge, like a hallway into the center of this primordial mound.
Yeah.
That is angled down like it would have been the descending passageway, and of course the rock is falling off the walls, and the ground's all rubble, and so you can imagine, like, I would like to see Kid Kawas.
Oh, wow.
Because
Sorry, man. How's the controller, dude? Have you tried it yet?
I think the descending passageway of Kid Kawas was also cut into the bedrock, but of course they lined it. There's these huge granite blocks laying in there.
Like a dream? Nice. It got real quiet in chat. I'm like, okay, Toad's probably fucking
This is, you cut this
doing a Hadouken combo right now.
into the primordial mound, then you cut this long hallway down to the bottom of the pit, and you case all that stuff in stone. You can make your tunnels, you can make ascending passageways in that thing. I mean, you think about it. You can go halfway down that descending passageway, and then start a tunnel upwards as you're filling that masonry, and you could have multiple rooms in that place. So that was
It's cool, man.
Go ahead.
Yeah, buddy. I was thinking today about your, like, the arcade version of the games. That must be really cool, man.
You're in this huge, big, wide descending passage, and there's big space at the bottom, but I think there's plenty of evidence that suggests that's not what it was.
Oh, the boost out. Oh my goodness, my friends. No. See, that ending was like perfect. See that door? I opened it from far away, and then I got boosted out. That was like ideal. It would have been better if I unpaused and I was closer though, but it was still pretty good.
Absolutely. And from a
Damn it, I
construction
was close
standpoint,
though.
this is genius because you think it's a lot of work to cut that huge
Man, we're really
channel
close.
down
We're
in
so
there and then cut
close.
this giant pit. But you have, if you started from the ground surface, you would have to
Yeah, but I was
coil
thinking, was Neo Geo arcade?
way more.
Wasn't that the thing with Neo Geo that they were arcade, but it was like expensive, like crazy expensive? I was thinking yours is probably like a Neo Geo type, like a new version theory of that. You know? I don't know though. I might be making shit up as usual.
Some fitted up against the wall. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that
Yeah, the
was
game is totally different.
really interesting, and it was just
The sounds are different.
just really
The blood, the
for
graphics,
me with the idea behind it. 'Cause I
the
remember this
combos,
primordial man, I'm kind of imagining, you see the diagrams of the Great Pyramid, and it's this little
the speed.
It's like, no. I mean, I would be willing to bet inside the Great Pyramid
The speed is the thing,
a shaped bedrock, gigantic shaped
and the sounds.
Yeah, yeah. And that was, I was going to say, that was something I learned too from you guys looking at that, because it's not just the center of these things either. It's these pyramids all have bedrock features.
Yeah, man, it looks like a Sega Genesis second gen fighting combo controller.
I mean, I've talked about it in other videos on the middle pyramid or Khafra pyramid having the,
Oh no way, that's insane.
like 7 courses of it or carved directly
Ah,
but it's probably a lesser known.
yeah, it's totally different.
Not to the same extent, but you also have big bedrock features that
That's awesome, bro.
in the Great Pyramid as well. So it's not just this primordial man in the center. There's these.
Like, are they like manga fighting games?
You guys have pointed out, I think that was the thing that blew my mind. Eastern corner.
The northeast corner of the
What's
Great
the
Pyramid,
music
that was
like?
the part that blew my mind. It's flint. It's literally like
Or is it like
a massive, it's a
Street Fighters?
humongous flint nodule, and it's got this natural, like,
Nice.
weird winding cave because I think in the more I observed it, it looks like it may have been
That's sick, man.
a massive fossil bed, like just a huge collection of maybe all these different shells. There's like the big spiral ones that are in there, and I know some of those are out in the limestone bedrock as well, but it looks like it possibly was some kind of big, maybe a coral feature full of all these shells.
Cool, man.
And it just, I mean, it's flint, but it's like knobs. It's got all these knobs and weird shapes in it.
But shaped into, you know, or basically that core stair step shape of the pyramid, and also not ever intended to be exposed to the outside, because the casing stones are all gone, and they're like, you know, you've got another 4 or 5 or 6 feet of stones that are outside of this, but they actually, this is so much more effort to like lock that structure in or something. Like it's a, and you see it. There's other blocks around there too that are bedrock.
Yeah.
Like individual blocks. So they're like, okay, this is like a key that then this serves to kind of lock that structure. I mean, not like it's going anywhere, but I don't know, man. I wonder why they did this. Like, I mean, is it not easier to, from a planning and logistics perspective, just like, all right, we're going to cut this thing flat, or at least we're just going to level off and we're just going to plan this with blocks. But no, we're going to shape these particular areas on each side of it that are just going to be from bedrock that just are still attached to the ground, and we can build the structure around it.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. I'm sorry, but when people say like, oh, you know, they flattened the bedrock and the whole thing is like flat to within, you know, a quarter of an inch or whatever of space. And it's like, well, no, actually, they just cut, like, if you think of that northeast corner, there's like, we're gonna make this cut here out of the bedrock, and then we're gonna fit a stone to case it, and that stone, where it sits, is gonna be within.
What? Why? Oh.
It's nuts.
Yeah, really.
See that? I just love the idea that, you know,
Who's that, man?
the foreman out there, and he's looking at the architect, and he's like, why are we leaving this thing of flint? And the guy's like, so it doesn't move.
Hideyoshi?
And he's like,
6 million tons.
move?
No way. That's
This
jokes.
up to me, and
Who's going to steal it?
It's funny. We both thought of the same man.
Too, that they have to be cutting the bedrock at the same time that they're casing it.
Yeah.
I came to this conclusion from really just like obsessing over these two hallways in the Sphinx.
I bet Hideyoshi's like the most interesting man in the world.
The bedrock cutting
It's like the Dos Equis guy. That's who I envision
decide to leave
Hideyoshi
random
like.
angles sticking out of what otherwise would have been a straight hallway. Just leave like a big chunk sticking out of the wall. He can't make those decisions without the stones casing it being there, ready, being prepped, and being put in as it's being cut. So
Why?
The bedrock nubs in that place.
No.
In the floor,
Like,
which is
why?
a smaller version of what the pyramid is.
yeah, if you think
Oh, this game, this game, this game.
he doesn't know what's under the bedrock. So the architect designs it. Then the limestone cutting crew comes in. They would just cut it to match the design. But no, that's not what was happening. Somebody was cutting as the building was being built at the same time. It's like, so that's why I was going back to this chunk in the corner of the Great Pyramid. But we can
Oh, I missed it again.
say maybe they did know.
It's fine.
They just were like, yeah, this one spot, leave that nub. Yeah, 1 foot or
There's a
diameter.
there's a there's a dense collection of flint right here. We're gonna leave this as part of the corner. It's 6 meters down.
Yeah, that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like these big nub protrusions on the floor of the. I mean, come on. They're the same as the rest of the limestone. It's like somebody's making that decision because they have the tile.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we'll cut a hole in this tile.
Yeah.
It's already got this crack or whatever.
It makes it so much more. I mean, everything's. You can already tell from the shape and size of the stones. It's all pretty customized. Not exactly.
It's
like
custom.
the bricks out and making it, but it speaks volumes to the planning and design that had to go into this, and maybe a bit of the ability for them to. I don't want to say that they do it on the fly, because I don't think you can do this stuff. That's what it feels like they know. They just have these options on what direction to go. I mean, there must be a requirement for this. Like that's the other part. Like, there has to be a specification from whoever wants this thing to say, because this isn't the easiest way to do it. I mean, none of this is the easiest way to do it, but this is even an even more ridiculously difficult way to do it. There has to be a reason for it. Is one of the other things. It's like, why wouldn't you at the Sphinx Temple just make that flat bedrock and stick the floor tiles down? That's got to be easy.
Yeah,
And then leaving all the sort and the bedrock nubs that poke up, and now you have to modify all your floor tiles and design everything around it to make sure it fits. And
Not just nubs, but bedrock pits. You're filling the pits as well.
Oh, such a scam, man. Guys, like what?
Been done on the fly.
This back boost, man.
The geometrical design is in the mind of the builders, right? Like you set the geometrical design. This is the geometry, and this is the level of precision. Obviously the design can be very precise, and then the builders are, even though they're making decisions on the fly using the natural medium that they're working in, they're always working to that geometrical design specification. That's kind of the way I think about it. And then, of course, there's these tolerances, which is what we've talked about in the unfinished presentation, which is like, you've got all this excess material. You're just trying to make sure that it surpasses the lowest tolerance of how
then you remove material.
Yeah. So as long as it follows that, you're good to go. And I kind of
smooth it all out.
just come back and flatten the casing stones on the inside of the Sphinx Temple after it's done. And then in some cases, like you were pointing out in the King's Chamber, that was not what they did.
Yeah.
They cut everything beforehand and stacked it precisely.
Yeah.
There's no blocks going around corners.
Yeah.
King's Chamber is a bit different, isn't it? It's just like perfectly made.
Yeah.
And designed and plot down.
It's the outsides of the King's Chamber that are flattened and softened in place. Like the above parts, you can see it in the pictures of the relieving chambers. They were scooping material out, removing material there, and then above that, it's flattened probably previously, and then above that, there's more scoops and stuff. So I wonder what the King's Chamber looks like on the outside of the block.
Yeah, yeah. I think we've seen it.
Probably rough. Man, I'd love to get into the builder's chamber.
Yeah, I think we've seen.
Some of those blocks.
I think we've seen roughly what it looks like. And that would be
In the southern shaft and in the bottom of
in the bottom of
Step
the step pyramid. That's what the outside of the King's Chamber looks like.
and those both, like, again, like the southern shaft, I'm just like, yeah, this is pyramid prep, like right here. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a shaft, and then they just didn't have the angle. Actually, they may have. I have some video of it.
Well, the southern shaft, people won't know what that is. Like, that's another. I mean, that was also a first for me on this trip getting in there.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to get in there for some time because this is like almost like a sister structure to what's beneath the step pyramid. It's another giant. It's like a replica of it. It's the same damn thing. It's another giant shaft. Like, if you think about what's beneath the step pyramid, you've got like an 80, 90-foot deep shaft, 45 feet wide, whatever it is, and at the bottom you've got a 32-piece granite box.
Yep.
It's like a built chamber,
Yeah.
more or less. And then in the southern shaft, you have a giant shaft. It's outside the pyramid. It's outside the courtyard of the pyramid. It's a giant.
I had to do it. I had to YOLO it. It's too slow otherwise. I don't think it's fast enough.
32-piece granite box, basically.
Yeah.
Or a chamber. I mean, it's how many double burials does Joseph need?
Right.
On his pyramid.
Isn't it similar?
Like it out in this.
Yeah.
So doesn't this kind of remind you of the test near the Great Pyramid?
I don't know, I guess I didn't get the boost. I didn't get the boost. It's not it. Oh, I needed one more boost, I think. Oh.
It's like there is
No, it could have been slower though, but whatever.
where there's like a model of the
I could have at least got boosted out, man.
I feel like it's all
Whatever.
that there's
Man, it's like piecing.
like I've said this before, but when you
It's
go
like every little piece has to go right. Every little piece.
go inside the box, like everybody's like, oh, I want to get in the box, and the kingship, you're already in the box. You're in the box. You're in the big one. You're in the box. You're in the big one.
yeah. It's because when you go to other ones, it's like you get
We're
down
close,
there,
though, man.
up there, wherever you're going to this chamber, and there's a
Man, that was pretty close, that one.
the Great Pyramid, and I guess there's maybe is there another granite chamber you go into in another pyramid? I can't remember.
Many of them. Yeah. And the third pyramid, Kara pyramid.
Kara has a granite chamber.
They're all granite boxes.
You go inside. I mean, there's the one that you walk into it. Yeah, like this granite room. So it's like those. I feel like the step pyramid and the southern shaft are weird because you actually come to the outside of the granite box. Like the tunnel should actually go in to the end. You're not supposed to be out in this amphitheater around it. Yeah. This is not supposed to be seen.
Yeah.
And the walls probably
What?
encased.
And well, there's a whole other that other shaft that's near Onisis pyramid that you look down and it's the same depth, same size. You know, I mean, we don't know how deep it is because it's not very. But it looks like there's a giant box down there as well.
Yeah.
There's a lid of something down there.
Yeah.
And that just to me, I feel like at that whole area, I go, well, this is the old stuff, right? And then they just decided, well, we'll build a pyramid over this one over here because maybe there's other tunnels and other things going off from that one. We don't know if there's other pyramids or sorry, other tunnels and things going off from the other shafts, but there's miles of tunnels beneath Saqqara. But just the fact that Saqqara copy of what's beneath the step pyramid is just amazing, insane.
Yeah, and the question is which one is the copy?
Well, yeah, I just think they're both. Yeah, I mean, my brain goes to well, these are functional. They're older. They were doing something, and then later on, it's like because I firmly am in the camp of like, yeah, the step pyramid probably was the first pyramid that domestic Egyptians made.
Yeah.
I think they made it. It's a tremendous effort, like $400,000. And
You know what?
it's done with smaller stones. You can look at it and see it, but I think it was, you know, I'm completely on board with that. I think they built it over the top of
Yeah.
pre-existing
Yeah.
hole.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking of about this, like how there's this a small version or whatever, and then next to it there's a larger version. And, it kind of reminded me of the of like what we do with particles. They're all connected to each other. Like I know this is like that way. Let's go to particle accelerators. But you build you go there. You have a small one. And you look at the history, even of for a while until it gets to its max energy level, and then it's got a tangent that goes to the next big one that they built 20 years after they built this first one, and then it circles on that one for months until it gets, and then bam, it gets shunted over to the biggest one, to a large hadron collider, and then it circles on that one for a couple.
Oh, so wide.
They all
So
connect. They
terrible.
start with the small one. That's what it reminds me of. You got
Such
this
a
one
terrible
hole,
line.
and you're like, wow, this is kind of cool, but it's not quite giving us what we need, so let's build another hole with a slightly bigger box. You know, you're like, well, this is actually working out. Well, let's build another one with an even bigger box. You know, and this box will be big enough so you can walk around in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the king's chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. I like that analogy.
Yeah, it's like there is. That's why I was saying. It's like they're not a copy, but is there some sort of? Is there a development? Right.
That thing blew up at some point.
Yeah.
Hopefully the analogy doesn't carry over to the Large Hadron Collider, because
Right.
aren't they planning to try and make a black hole? When the
Yeah.
eclipse happens
They're gonna
again?
turn it on and make a black hole. Yeah.
During the eclipse.
Perfect.
Sounds like a good plan.
Well, it takes like months to get it up to speed. So yeah.
Sure.
Yes. So they won't be making black
We don't
hole.
know, but they've been running it for months now.
It takes them 6 months to cool it down.
They've known.
Even turn it on.
6 months.
Yeah.
They've known about. They've
What
known
the
about
fuck?
for a long time.
They have. Yeah, they could be cooling it down already as we speak. Yeah. But yeah, they have to cool those magnets for a long time before it starts. Yeah. But yeah, this is all. So what else did we see walking around Giza? We noticed that some of the huge blocks at the base of the Great Pyramid are pretty much they're just stacks of fossils with sand, but it's been liquefied. We saw this stuff when we were out in the Fayoum. The drivers actually stopped, and we all got out, and we're just standing on this sandy area that was like you could just run your hands through the material, and it's nothing but shells and sand fossils from like a EOC 40 million year old, seabed. And there are blocks in the Great Pyramid that are basically made of compacted liquefied versions of this stuff that we were picking up. Like all it is fossils. Not a good building material. Not at all. But they made blocks out of it. And then basically, it's core masonry. Yeah. And you can see all around the area, around the pyramid, there are sections of the bedrock that are also that stuff. It's just nothing but fossils, but it's all been glued together, basically liquefied. And I found that to be really interesting. Like they're clearly pulling material from all around the area. You can look up at the pyramid. If you stand there and just look at it for a while, you see there's all this different. It's not just they say the core limestone masonry. Well, some of it was probably taken from those massive limestone quarries that Yusuf took us to last time we were there. These gigantic holes
Over in Cairo, across the river.
Yeah, across the river there are these enormous. They're not like normal quarries where you're digging down. Somebody dug into the cliff walls.
Yeah, they were following layers
and leaving these gigantic caverns.
That's another thing I noticed. Speaking of layers,
What? Like what?
in the tunnel under the Great Pyramid, under the Step Pyramid, they basically tunnel down through all this crappy limestone, and then they hit this 8-foot thick, really solid layer of good Tura, and that's where all the tunnels.
Yeah, go up.
Let's dig the tunnels in the hard stuff. They dug a shaft all the way down, and then they hit that hard layer, and they're like, that's the roof.
Yeah.
For the tunnels.
Right.
And the tunnels just go everywhere underneath that hard layer.
Yeah.
And that's where they set the box. It's like, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's like they're masters of this stuff. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like you can see it in the Osiris shaft as well. When you get down to the first room, they're following this.
It's not it. I had some weird angle there. It's not it. And no boosts. After the big boost. It's not it.
You wouldn't want to dig a big open area
In the crappy materials.
Yeah. So they just go down until they hit that hard layer and tunnel on. So,
Yeah. That was
you
good.
guys know.
Go ahead.
I'm like one boost away, man. I'm like one freaking boost away, man.
Now, I think it's the southern side where the boat museum used to be. Now it's gone, and you can actually see all the casing stones. Did you notice that at some areas it's just the erosion on some of those casing stones?
Yeah.
At the bottom, I mean, it looks severe. Like I am going to be doing a video about erosion, the mortuary temple of the Little Pyramid complex, and compared to the other four dynasty structures. But I look at some of the erosion on some of the existing casing stones still in the Great Pyramid. I mean, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
It looks pretty severe in places. Other places, not so much. Some of those casing stones are pretty heavy.
They also have been plastering them. This was pissing us off that day. Remember we saw all those casing stones where somebody's come along and tried to repair them to fix the erosion. So they've like plastered it to give it this, they put mortar and it filled the holes and it just looks like crap. Yeah.
Well, that's probably why they stopped with Ziri. Like that was the other thing I was looking forward to seeing when we just before the tour, right? Ziri dug a hole at the third pyramid at Makara.
Yeah.
And was talking about rebuilding it. And I was like, okay, clearing the base and documenting it, good. Rebuilding it, bad. Right. I don't know how you guys are going to rebuild it.
He got fired.
He got fired. Totally, man.
Yeah.
Literally, that when we got there and we figured out, he got pulled up and we're like, there's a committee they stopped his work and there's a committee that's headed by Zaki Luss that's going to figure out what they're going to do about it. And Mo told me at the start of that too, he said he's going to get fired. I was like, really? I was like, yeah, he's gone. And a month later, sure enough,
Yeah.
he's gone. That's crazy. Head of the security department. So, saying some chilling first. Digging a hole. You dug a hole in the wrong spot, son.
Yep.
And they filled that shit in. It was really annoying. Yeah, we turned up and like, damn it. And you see all this fresh dirt there. Like, really had to. Because if you guys haven't seen it, go out and find it. And you look at like the excavations at Makara Pyramid. I think the video's on Facebook. But they dug down. I mean, where the entrance is, it's another 2.5 courses of stone beneath the ground.
And I'm sure there's a flat granite platform there too. Like on the other side.
Yeah, I'm super interested in the bedrock there. Like, what's the bedrock preparation? Because you look at the other pyramids, there's these giant foundation tiles beneath them.
Yeah.
Oh, there could be a whole basalt floor and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Too. Yep.
Yeah, who knows? It blows my mind that we've never cleared the bases of some of these monuments. Like, these are, I don't know if you get any more famous than the pyramids of Giza.
Yeah.
But we just have never cleared the bases of the Makara Pyramid, we've never cleared the base of the Red Pyramid. I mean, the Bent Pyramid's still got rubber around it, and more or less I think they've exposed the corner points at least on that one. But, the Red Pyramid and the Makara Pyramid, you can't get it. You can't see the bases.
Yeah. Yeah. The casing stones just go down into the sand and that's it.
I'd say one other thing about the erosion on casing stones, it's very clear when you look at all the different structures on the plateau. The stones at the bottom are extremely eroded, like laterally. They've got all these deep fissures in them laterally, and I'm definitely on the wind and sand erosion for in that camp. Like this makes perfect sense. You can see like there'd be these little eddies of sand just grinding away at that stone on the bottom. So of course it makes sense that the builders would put, or at least they don't have to be the pyramid builders. They could be repairers or whatever. But put granite on the first two courses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're gonna put you put granite on the first two courses of the pyramid because that's gonna hold up the most to that sand. It's gonna be in that first 10 feet of the pyramid base. And then once you get up higher, you can move to a slightly softer stone like Tura.
Yeah, that dunce cap, man. It feels dank, man. Swear to God, a lawyer. That was like a lawyer decision.
If they did it'd be interesting if they did a site study. And they were like, well,
If you put a feels dank, man, at the end of every word, it absolves you of all liability.
the middle pyramid, it's going to have a problem at the base. We'll put 1 or 2 courses of granite. And then Minkara, it's going to have a lot of wind blown sand coming off that hill towards it. So it needs 17 or 18 cases of granite.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean,
A lot of work.
I there's that one spot near on the north side where there's a granite block that's in the superstructure that's
Come on, man.
8, 9 courses high. Did you guys see that? No.
On the middle pyramid?
Yeah, in the middle pyramid. Yeah, there's a like to the left. If you're looking at the entrances to the left, up high, there's a couple of granite blocks that are in there. Like there's something else there. I don't think that's an indication that it was cased that high, but there's some feature that was made from granite up there. And it's to the left of the entrance, not the main entrance. It's not like there, if there ever was really an entrance to it there, because the main entrance you go into is through the bedrock at the front.
Yeah.
And then I just got to looking at the pictures of the pyramid and from all these different angles, and I just keep noticing that at some point, it's the first 5 or 6 courses. The quality of that pyramid shifts. Like it's the bottom 5 or 6 courses, maybe more. 7 or something like this. But you can see a noticeable shift in quality, and it's just like I don't know. It almost looks like 2 different periods of building to me. Was this like a platform at some point?
Yeah.
Maybe it was encased in granite up to that point.
May have been a step period.
A step, yeah. It could have been something, and then later on it was built into a true pyramid encased with the two limestone. I don't know. But
It doesn't surprise me at all. It wouldn't.
You just
Oh, brutal.
You go and look at the high levels of the formation of that thing, and it's quite poor. Like it's a noticeably lower quality of formation than what the Great Pyramid is. But the bottom, of course, are way better. Like there's megalithic blocks in there that are a couple hundred tons, 150 tons or so, in those bottom courses. But that's not the case the higher up you go. It just shifts. There's a dramatic and obvious shift in like architecture. So I don't know. It's worth an investigation, but I keep looking at it and going, this is like this thing is something else. Like I'm not sure it was always a pyramid.
Yeah. Well, that made me think of the satellite pyramids.
Yeah. I was going to say, I kind of got that idea about all of them.
Well, like I was saying, there's one that looks pyramidy, and then the middle one
Load the vape again.
looks a lot more like a step pyramid or a ziggurat, like a tall ziggurat, right? It's got a big, nice base platform, and then the whole middle of the pyramid has a very vertical aspect to it.
Like what's the one
Like a tattoo with a very slight. Yeah,
My dude.
Yeah.
That central structure. I mean, come on, they built that first.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And then
It was pyramided.
came later. Yeah, it was pyramided.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I could give Khufu credit for turning the Great Pyramid into a pyramid
Yeah.
because it was something else first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some other structure that may have been highly degraded, like it's starting to fall apart. And it's like, this is why maybe some of these kings did this for multiple sites. If they weren't burial sites, maybe they didn't want themselves buried. But like, why would you build multiple?
Yeah,
You only need one. Yeah. Are they? Did they decide to start making these structures to protect these much older
Why?
original structures, these core structures, whatever they were? Which is what this goes back to the whole mound thing. Yeah, and that makes sense too. If these old kingdom kings were, they were not like Ramses.
And they were also much more connected to.
Yeah.
So they honored these structures, they repaired them, they cased them over to keep them from falling apart more than they have. They didn't claim them by writing their names all over them. Right? But some of the stones may have mason marks that say, we're the gang of Khufu.
Right. Even that particular glyph I've got issue.
That particular one.
And to be fair, there is a they found on the exterior.
Well said, AI. Well said.
Supposedly it has snitches and
We've all been there.
supposedly. But yeah, I mean, but that whole concept. Of
Maybe AI is human after all.
preserving and protecting and preserving almost that older architecture. That's not unique to that area. I mean, this is a super common theme you see in South American Peru. You can see the obviously much older layers of architecture that are then built on and protected and almost lovingly kind of encompassed by the later megalithic builders, and then the Inca would kind of do the same thing. The Inca came along, all right, well,
Sure, if you want one, I'll add them.
Just that it is this concept of this encircling.
But like when I take my break,
of the old world.
maybe.
Yeah.
So,
And there's even in Egypt, there's even later versions of that where they were mud bricking and encasing all that stuff in a mud brick wall.
Yeah. See, I love this too because you've got the superstructure. Obviously, it's sticking out of the mud brick. You can see these megalithic limestone blocks, wherever they are, just corners of them or whatever.
Yeah.
Try with the tilde.
They use this method of making these mud bricks. It's like, yeah, it's fine because they're going to put a roof on it. They're going to put this Turtle limestone roof over the mud brick, and it's going to preserve it. It's going to preserve that inner structure. And even though the limestone is pouring away, the mud brick is melting away. Like you're still only seeing like a little corner. Yeah, it's whatever is in there is still protected thousands of years later. So the mud brick, I think, it's not necessarily like a lack of the ability because they still may have cased it and finally worked that casing stone.
So much rejection, man.
Casing stone,
The rejection, you could feel it.
but it's like, yeah, this core mason
The inadequacy.
can be whatever, and it's like,
Like why? You could have just made your dreams come true. You know what I mean?
Giza period, we just don't know. But all like the entirety of the middle pyramid is basically unknown.
that's what Scan Pyramids Project found the mud brick section.
Fuck.
move differently through mud brick.
I knew the throne of Khufu was going to be
All right, another break.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, why? I don't know why it's not working.
And we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers of the Southern Podcast, joined by Ben from Uncharted X. We have half our pyramids tied behind our backs just to make it square. We've been talking about Giza. We did so many things on this trip. I mean, 6 weeks, we did a lot of stuff. But one of the things we wanted to get to is our explorations in the Fayum in between the tours. So we had 10 days, something like that, in between. So the first 3 or 4 we spent in Cairo, right next to the plateau, and that's when Kyle and I went on our walkabout on Giza and found many things. We took a bunch of videos.
Come
We'll be
on.
watching those soon.
What? Like what?
But then we went
Like
out to
what?
the Fayum and did some trekking around in the desert. And the first day, the first day in the desert, we went out and went to what was the place called? Qasr el
Saga.
Yeah. So there is a what looks like an old kingdom style. It looks like similar to the Valley Temple, much smaller, but similar to the Valley Temple in construction. Was it sandstone?
Was it limestone? I don't know if it was sandstone. It might have been. Limestone. Could be one.
Yeah. But similar in style of construction, just, out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Out in the desert. It's just, now, if you look at the historical records and read some of the published work on it, they suggest that this used to sit near where the flooding would come to. So there's this large, sort of flat area, and it would make a big lake during flooding seasons where the flooding is particularly.
But it's still
the Fayum itself is like this huge basin. If you're looking at a map of the Nile, it looks like almost like a grape leaf branching off of the Nile. That's the way I always think of it when I see it on the map, and you can tell because it's green. So it's an oasis.
big depression. Yeah.
Huge depression that the Nile flooding would sort of branch off the Nile and fill this whole valley. And it's quite beautiful down there. But then on the ridges around it, that's kind of where we went.
Yeah.
Driving out into the mountains.
It just changes from green to desert.
You climb up these mountains and you're just in the high desert. And, down below you can see there's lakes down there. It's a beautiful area.
deserts where the Valley of the Whales are.
Yeah.
You know, you have 30, 40 million year old skeletons poking up out of the sands, and you can just tell this is an ancient place. And then, yeah, you drive around these hills, go around the top of the lake there. I don't know if it's Lake Morris, it's one of the other lakes, I think. And
Like what? It's just so dumb, man.
there's
Like this game, bros. Like, come
massive
on.
structure that's sitting out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah,
and
you feel like
it's very similar to the Valley Temple, like megalithic, polygonal masonry.
Yeah.
You've got chambers behind the walls. It shows. It has almost chapels. It has all these similar features. It's got architecture like the Valley Temple. It's got bullnoses and curvatures and forms blocks like both Old Kingdom and the boxes of Argentine Island. There's flint everywhere around the place. There's, even as we walked out and went around in the surrounding neighborhood, there's clearly evidence for occupation. There's tunnels and burials and stuff everywhere out there.
Yeah.
Prehistoric occupation.
Yeah.
Prehistoric.
Yeah. Pottery lying all over the place.
Yeah. Really interesting little spot. I hadn't heard much about it, but I was super happy we got out there because I went out there last year. I went out there when I was there with Yusuf and Noah for a few days, and so I wanted to get you guys out there.
Like that. Like that ending was insane.
This is one of those things you can go and see. There's a ton of these sites that are kind of off the beaten track. You can go out and take a look at. And this was
That door, and then you unpause right at the exit. That saves a second. It's crazy.
doesn't fit the story.
Maybe half a
There's
second.
even around it, there seems to be evidence for like an older structure that's been destroyed. There's blocks that are super heavily eroded, but they're clearly cut blocks.
Yeah.
That are laying around outside. So maybe this is only a portion of what was here originally, or
Yeah.
it's a rebuilding of what was here originally. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, in that, just thinking of it in those terms, that it might have been a piece of something rebuilt. That makes a little bit more sense. Just that thing by itself.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand the urge to say this is a shrine,
Yeah.
or this is a temple,
Yeah.
because it doesn't. It's so weird. Like, what function could it possibly have? Again, no writing.
Dude, that guard really fucking pissed me off, man. That random ass green guard. Like, come on, man.
There were statues in it. I think there's a remnant of a statue, like a calcite statue.
Yeah, there's 7 alcoves when you go inside. So it just made me think of a shrine. Like this is some kind of a shrine. But
But
again,
they also connect it to the removal of basalt.
that's what I'm saying. It's on the road to a quarry.
Yeah.
The road itself is another thing entirely. We're driving along and I'm like, what is this? Old railroad track? Looking out the window, I'm like, we're driving past all this stuff. I'm like, that's petrified wood. It's petrified wood.
Yeah. It's a corduroy road made out of petrified wood.
Corduroy road. And basalt.
Yeah.
And basalt. So there's literally this is described to be you're out in the desert. This is the western desert, and you just shooting out in the dunes, and it's this crazy desert landscape. And then for a portion of this, we're driving towards these mountains in the distance, and you just notice that you're right next to this. I mean, it's fairly narrow. What is it, like 3-4 meters maybe?
Like a railroad track. I mean,
Like
it's
a railroad track. Yeah, like the berm.
4 cubits.
It's wider. Yeah, it's
2 horses wide. It's 2 horses wide.
African cubic, Royal cubic. Yeah. But it's straight as an arrow too. It runs straight from, and it goes directly to what turns out is the basalt quarry, which is I've always wanted to get to.
It's not it.
About it in videos, I said I know they say there's a quarry out in the western desert at the far edge of the Fayum region out in the desert. And this road apparently runs straight back to the lake, and it goes for miles. And I think it is acknowledged as one of the world's oldest roads.
Oh, man.
Road, and who knows how old it is? It's tough to date in stone, but they made the damn thing from petrified wood, and basalt from the quarry, and it's just full. And there's nearby is like a petrified forest that we went and took a walk through too. You see the remnants of whole trees and skeletons and fossils from ancient whales and crocodiles and things like this. But really interesting why they did that, and then
No, what?
following it,
Like
we
what?
got to kind of the mountains, and it's all these mountains that are covered in basalt, and you just see these just basalt boulders and rubble everywhere, and you just through these little valleys and stuff, and then you're faced with these series of these tall hills, and they're still quarrying basalt from it. I mean, we could hear across on the
Like
other
what?
side of the mountains that were,
Yeah.
you know, they're hammering away and pulling basalt out of there. But this is also an ancient quarry, where at the very top layer, you know, it's like all this crumbling basalt. None of it looks to be big enough pieces that you'd think could be used for some of the sizes of the basalt blocks we've seen on sites. Like at Sear, you've got giant big basalt blocks. You've got statues made from basalt that are really large. You know, there's other slabs of basalt, and you're looking around, and none of this seems to fit that bill. But if you look right at the top of the hill, the crest of the hill, the top, whatever, 700 meters, it's solid basalt, and apparently that's where they were quarrying a lot of this basalt from.
Yeah.
We didn't quite get up there because it's sketchy, and it's quite high, but
Yeah.
it's one of these days we will.
Yeah, we got the climb up there. We didn't know for sure when we were out there if we were in the right place.
No, the box. Like what?
But later we were looking at some of the maps and the papers, and like, yeah, we're pretty close to the right spot. And if they're correct, that up at the top there were like 4 different areas where they've marked as ancient quarries.
And supposedly the saw cuts and stuff up there too.
Yeah,
So the same sort of stuff you see on the
Exactly. That was what we wanted to get out there to see. Like, are there the same cut marks, witness marks, and stuff on these quarries as what we see on the side? I'm just trying to imagine that road.
They literally took, it's like, oh, there's a log laying over there.
Yeah.
It's basically stone. I mean, they just laid them all down one after the other. And you're trying to imagine driving on a road made of logs. But these are stone logs. They're narrow, and it's just, I don't know. And then underneath the stone logs was some kind of calcite or some other limestone material they were using. It's like, I don't know, just trying to imagine, okay, we're going to climb up this mountain, cut this huge basalt block off.
I think if I ever get this time, I'm gonna instantly know whether it was a 16 or not. Just because it's just everything has to come together.
Yeah, it's odd. I mean, we don't know what that finished surface of that road might look like, whether this is still part of it.
It's like Dynamics DJ's Archive 16. He knew it was a 16. It was insane.
Might have been nice. It was just amazing to see that they actually used, the logs as though they were raw and laid them down one after the other. You could see the round ends sticking out with the wood grain in it on the side of the road. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, and then we found the petrified forest and went for a walk through that, and then I think we also hit the valley of the Wales when we were out there. But the farm is such an interesting place, and then there was quite a bit of dune.
Yeah.
Did some dune. Yeah, this is all in 4-wheel drives, so we did spend a few hours playing in the dune, driving us around and having all the kids and
Get on
children and women screaming.
You get on the peak of this dune like this, it's like way up there. It's just this corner, and the Jeeps are driving on that corner. You're looking down, it's like, oh my god, that is so. And then you see, we're in the back, my Jeep with my family in it. Laura and the kids, they're in the back. I'm in the passenger seat, and you see the Jeeps in the front just go off the edge, and they start drifting down the side, and Laura starts screaming. As soon as she sees us, she's like, no, no! And away we go down the edge too. Oh my god, it was epic.
Yep.
And
you
hilarious.
Yeah, the wind is up and down, it comes off the tire, there's a wash of you.
Yep. Yeah, there's no AC. So you're like, you start getting hot, so you roll the windows down, and then the wind picks up and just then I get coated in sand. Yeah.
Well, we were in the song. We just said
What the fuck?
I knew it. They were in front of us, and Laura and the kids are just screaming their heads off every time we do something crazy. And then at some point we're driving along, and I just tell Laura, I'm like, I bet that Jeep up there is completely quiet. And sure enough, we get to the stop point. The Egyptian guys were awesome. We stopped at this really cool place where there's an overhang. There's this big protrusion of bedrock, and we're in the sand, and there's this big overhang in the shade. start grilling and set up tables and
Yeah.
pillows and everything, and just serve this beautiful, amazing lunch under this overhang of this cliff. Yeah, it was quite something.
Yeah.
And then they busted out some instruments, started jamming for us. And it was so cool. It was kind of way out there in the middle of nowhere.
Interesting.
Anyways, I confirmed it was true. I went over there and I was like, how was the run, guys? It was quiet. It was deep. We can hear y'all scream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally could hear you guys screaming from our feet.
Yeah.
We could hear the screams.
Yeah. Yeah, we only noise in our Jeep was us laughing because we could hear y'all's Jeep. And we started laughing. It was hilarious.
Our driver, like, whenever he would, like, a lot of times you're trying to climb some dune and, didn't get enough power or whatever. And there was a couple of vehicles that had to stop and back down. And we're following pretty close behind one of them. And multiple times, our driver would start yelling in Arabic. I'm sure he was cursing the guy in front of us. And I would just copy whatever he was saying. No! I started, and he would laugh.
Yeah, you guys were following us.
Yeah.
And sometimes our driver was a little slow, and then your driver would have to back up and try it again.
Change direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lose momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these guys know that that's the amazing thing about it. They just go out and they just kind of know what direction they're going and where they're
Yeah.
going, where they're. I mean, they've been doing it for decades probably. And
Yeah.
but you just feel like you're literally out in the desert. You can't see anything.
Yeah.
It's just desert.
Yeah.
And we just fly through the desert. It is an experience.
Yeah.
It's got a lot to offer. It's like it's an incredibly rich country in terms of just different experiences and different places that you can go and do. It's really interesting. People don't think about those aspects. And then you got the Red Sea, which is
Yeah.
beautiful. These beaches and coral and some of the nicest water you've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. We went from like getting doused with sand, like coursing on dunes in Jeeps, and 3 days later we're 70 feet down in beautiful, crystal clear water looking at coral and fish. Yeah.
Yep.
And toilets.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a shipwreck with some toilets. Yeah.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I got a great picture of you.
I just turn around and I look down there all the way at the bottom, and Russ is sitting on this ancient toilet. He's just like straddling this toilet, just looking around.
Yeah.
Somebody take my picture.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was just looking at that photo the other day. That's funny.
Ben, afterwards we were sharing photos, and then he sends us a picture from like 10 years ago where he was sitting on a toilet.
Doing the exact same. When you see a toilet underwater, you go sit on it. That's what you do. Yeah. I sat on a toilet just like that's what I'm laughing about. Underwater, I think I was laughing. Yeah. I saw you sitting on it. You did do it.
Yeah.
Ben is a fish, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you guys know this, but I turn around, he's doing flips.
You did amazing. No. I mean, for you, I was so impressed with your dive. Honestly, like you were worrying about Laura. Laura came with us too on the dives. You were driving this super complicated iPhone supercase dive computer thing, taking pictures, and you had no problem managing your own dive. And this is kind of was your guys' first real dive, like real ocean, proper dive.
Yeah.
And you just handled it like it was nothing. That was super
appreciate
impressive.
Yeah.
I did have some ear problem. I was just trying to.
Yeah.
Just the congestion.
We all had some congestion and some. We were questioning whether we were even going to be able. Ben and I were just like, well, let's do a shore dive the first time, and like we'll get down and see can we even.
Because for me, I mean, I hadn't been diving in more than 10 years. So, but I did awful lot of it back in the day, and I love the water and was comfortable. I mean, I think the most important thing is as long as you're comfortable and you don't panic and you can handle yourself in the water. As long as you remember the fundamentals of diving, you click right back into it, which is what happened. It's fine. I was a bit worried because I'm like, diving while you're congested, you've got sinus problems is never a great idea.
Yeah.
But Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, you were funny too, though. You get down there, there'd be some fish or whatever. You have your GoPro, and like he's just like the fish is just
Yeah, that's right.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
He's got this little thing. He's poking stuff.
Yep.
He's got a little
stick,
little
yeah, my little
metal
rod.
rod.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
poking shit with it. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I saw the footage of you and those little fish were biting your fingers. You would like you started to play with those bottom feeding fish, and then
Yep.
you had to snap your hand away because
Yep.
they started like, oh, we're gonna eat your fingers now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They definitely took some bites out of me. Yep.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, so then we came back and did it all again for the second tour. It was just as epic. What was interesting actually, one of the aspects of doing 2 tours, and we started off by talking about some of the new work that's happening on some of these sites. Abu Sir's been cleared out. Even Abu Ghurab nearby has, they've exposed some structure in the sand out the back of that.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but and this was like, I wonder how often this sort of thing happens. Because so the first time we went to Abu Sir, Abu Ghurab, which is the Sun Temple, the obelisk base. There was an archaeologist that worked there, and they had excavated out the front of the courtyard, the big area in front of this obelisk base, and the Hotep, and they cleared it all out. And they've exposed the bedrock, and there was some mud brick stuff, and there was all these features. They dug it right down to the bedrock, and he's walking around barefoot. We're all hanging around waiting for them to leave so we can do our thing.
Yeah.
And he's taken all these pictures of it and stuff. We see him documenting it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I know they've been working on that site for the last couple of years, but then we came back a month later, and it's all buried again.
Yeah.
They buried it back again. They literally took it up, they dug it up, they documented it, and then they reburied it. Which, in principle, I'm fine with, but it's just like, where does that data go? I'd love to know, like, is this going to be in a paper, or is it just something that happens in academia, or does it come out 10 years later? I mean,
That's the weird thing.
we just never know what gets done, and
We don't know what's in the archives. I mean, they've got
no.
who knows. That's. I mean, that goes back to your point too about like a lot of this stuff was published. Petrie stuff he was publishing, but there's so much. Did anyone ever excavate these shafts in the Giza Plateau? It's like, where's
No,
that
no.
data?
I've tried. I mean, doing the same thing in the pyramid, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
And we went into the Great Pyramid, and we went in. We do a special commission. We end the tours with this awesome 2 hours inside the Great Pyramid. Go into all the chambers, blah blah blah. And there's the first time we went in there is not as much stuff. In the second time we go in there, I mean, for starters, the Queen's Chamber is just full of a workshop in there. There's like a
Circular
drop saw, a
saw.
miter saw. They're doing woodworking. They got there's cables going everywhere, and then. The first time we saw there was obviously an electricity cable going up into the chambers above the King's Chamber, the relieving chamber. So the access to that's at the top left corner of the Grand Gallery, 18, 20 feet up in the air, and there's a cable going in there. And then the second time we go in there, there's actually the ladder for it.
Yeah.
The
It's strapped
ladder
to the
that's got.
railing. And I asked him, can we get this ladder out and get up in there? He's like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
What are you doing up there? There's a cable. I know I'm sure they're drilling for this new void is what I suspect's going on.
Yeah.
But who knows?
The thing that's really funny to me about that ladder is like in Chris Dunn's book, The Giza Power Plant, when he goes through the history of discovery, and I think it's Davidson or somebody,
Yeah.
it's like, there's tunnel up in the top of the Grand Gallery. We got to get up there, and they tie 2 ladders together with rope.
Yeah.
And me and Russ were laughing like, dude, you're at the top of the Grand Gallery. It's so sketchy.
Yeah.
You're gonna tie 2 ladders together and get up in this hole. And when we get there, they have 2 ladders tied together with rope.
Yeah.
I was like, I know what that is for. Exactly.
Yeah.
Still the same methods.
Yeah. And it's just strapped to the railing that's in
Yeah.
there that helps people walk up and down the Grand Gallery. I'm like, God damn it, can we just untie this and
Yeah.
pop it up and we'll see?
No.
But,
But yeah, there's a power cable going up there. They're doing something.
Yeah, that thing's been run up there for a year or so. I mean, yeah, they've definitely been in there. I mean, they closed that pyramid, as I've told people, like last year in the summer for 3 months. I mean, So they, I had heard various things about. Obviously they found that first chamber, the new chamber that's underneath the chevrons at the main entrance, and somebody told me that they knocked a hole in that. I mean, they drilled, they put an endoscope in there and took a look, and then somebody told me that they cut a hole in it to actually go in there. Although Russ, you and I did actually manage to get up there on this last trip and take a good look at it.
In the dark.
Up there,
in the dark. To be fair.
In the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
They told us not to use lights. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go up there these days.
Yeah.
You used to be able to. Like, there's literally a built like the way you get to into the regular pyramid and just the main entrance now, the Mamoon's
hole. Yeah.
They build a staircase and it's like you can just walk up there. There's also an existing kind of staircase that they built.
Yeah.
Up to the main entrance, but there's a gate and they won't let anyone up there now. But back in like 2016, you could just go up there. Like you could just walk up there and take a look.
Yeah.
But at some point they're like, now this is all off limits. You can't do it anymore. But of course, we're there for 2 hours. It's night time because we're doing our private entry and we just, hey, can we go up there and like, okay, make it quick, no lights.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the cops out on the plateau get all excited when they see lights,
Yeah. Up on the outside of the pyramid, yeah.
Like somebody's trying to climb the pyramid.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to get up there because I knew there was, and I'd seen it before, there's a big granite block with these massive tube drills.
Yeah. They go all the way through, like deep. Yeah.
Deep, long tube drills that have really, really clear strikes. One split, like the typical quarrying where they've cut it, it's split along the axis of the tube drill, but then two more behind it.
Yeah.
That are full of sand and shit, but they're obviously there. And it's part of some mechanism that must have been up on that main entrance. But yeah, it's just, there's all these little hidden features on that thing, and they're doing stuff. I mean, we didn't see any holes to get into that other chamber, but like I said, they closed the pyramid for 3 months, and God only knows what they were doing in there. I mean, cleaning. Yeah. But I suspect, that I just wish there was a bit more transparency about what is actually happening to the. I know. I'm sure some of those guys that are working on it feel like they own it. It's their information. It's their. Their monument, but it's like there's a lot of interested people that want to know what's happening in there, and there's certainly a long history of things happening in there that nobody knows about.
Right, and then like you've said, and Yusuf says, like the ministry controls the release of whatever is discovered.
Yeah.
So
you take Gantenbrink, for example.
Yeah.
He wrote that whole report on all the stuff that he found. They canned it for so long. He eventually just releases the information on his website.
Yeah.
Louis,
They've never released
the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the labyrinth. I mean, they canned his report on the
Canned his
labyrinth
report,
too, and then
publish the
whatever,
website.
5 or 6 years later, he publishes it and goes stuff it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and put the data out there, but who knows how much stuff's happened? I mean, I've dug into it a bit in the past. There's acoustic engineer reports of stuff that happened during the Shore expedition in the late 90s, where they were trying to do acoustic experiments in the pyramid. It's that in itself is a not well understood series of experiments that happened, but they also report during that time having problems setting up their experiments at night time because they're hammering away and drilling and excavating up in the relieving chambers, and they're seeing guys coming out there with burlap sacks full of limestone chips.
Yeah.
What are you doing? This is the 90s.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the last time we were there in 2022, the robbers' tunnel in the alcove in the Queen's Chamber was open, sort of.
Right.
When we went in there.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah. This time,
It wasn't locked.
This time it was completely sealed off and locked, and I guess that is the place where the Scan Pyramids guys put their. At least that's what I've read. That's where they put their actual the active plates. Right, because you can put it in there, you can lock it away. It's not going to be disturbed by any tourists, even if they're coming in and out of the Queen's Chamber. So we couldn't get in there this time. But the Queen's Chamber, half of the chamber was sealed. You couldn't get to the back half of the chamber.
Yeah, I mean, literally half.
Yeah, from the shaft entrances. The 2 little shaft entrances, from there to the back half of the chamber was completely filled with equipment and materials and boards, and it was sealed off.
Tape.
Yeah.
Caution tape.
Caution tape, yeah.
And same thing in the descending passage, right? All the way up. Normally you can turn left and go up to the top of the
yeah.
descending
It's
passage.
full of
and
stuff.
It's full of stuff.
Yeah.
there's lots going on. I mean, I know they closed the middle pyramid for, I think they're running scan. I mean, I don't know if they're doing that or not.
Scan pyramid stuff.
Scan pyramid stuff, although I think they're also doing it in the third pyramid. There was,
on the outside.
There's definitely stuff happening.
Yeah, they had, so they, on the, what is it, the east wall where the other
east
flat,
side.
the other flattened area is.
The temples.
They had built a scaffold there. They were running GPR up against that flattened surface, right across that prism block.
Yeah.
He had a little GPR unit, and it's, he's
Wafting it back and forth.
going back and forth on the scaffold, pointing it into that wall.
I wonder if they've done some scan pyramid stuff down inside, and they have seen something near that face.
Well, you remember we went in there, right? And when you go into the bottom of that, there's that one right at the bottom. There's a right-hand turn, and there's a gate that leads down to another chamber. And we walked past there, and there were some irritated-looking Japanese men locked behind that gate. That's the Scan Pyramids team.
Yeah.
Like, that was 100% Scan Pyramids guys. Yeah, they're like, God, these fucking tourists.
Fucking tourists, yeah.
They're probably like a stream of people all day coming past. I'm like, what are you doing in there? Like, just go away.
Yeah.
We're busy. Stop breathing our air.
You're making it hot in here.
Yeah.
You're making it hot in here. Yeah. I mean, it's cool they opened that pyramid up again. It was closed since, I mean, it's been closed for 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, so that was the first time I've been down there, and it is, you know, you go down into the bedrock, but there's blocks.
Granite room.
Yeah, and there's a granite room. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Granite
that doesn't have the curved ceiling. I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember.
It does.
Yes, it's a curved ceiling.
Yeah, it has the curved ceiling, same as Lahoon. So
Yes.
Lahoon is
Yeah.
also the granite room with a curved ceiling.
Yep.
And there was another box in there, but it's now, it was what was the name of the ship, the Deirdre or something, it sunk. Vice tried to take it back on the
Diving
ship.
opportunity.
Diving, like, seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's, you know, a lot of people have been trying to find that thing.
Oh, no one's found it.
No one knows where it is. No, they so it was a ship when, I mean, it's fully laden. I have the bill of, I got it from Matt at Ancient Architects. He thinks he's
Dude,
gonna
Eric P
Nice.
got Surface 1 Agent 102. He finally got 102. What a legend, man. What an absolute legend. What a fireball.
Like 100 plus artifacts. One of them is the box from that third pyramid that came out of Egypt, and the damn thing sunk in the med somewhere. So
Oh, man.
that box is currently sitting along with a bunch of other probably really cool shit on the bottom of the med somewhere. Currently, who knows, right? I mean, down there with all the other obelisks that sank and everything else that went down. Yeah, I mean, isn't there some gold ship that I saw something in the news recently about some salvage where they were trying to find this, like, apparently literally billions of dollars worth of modern era worth of gold
Yeah.
on some treasure ship that came out of Spain or South America.
Yeah, really, man. Honestly, dude.
Just hoarding all the gold, and like it sank, like you.
Yep.
You're too greedy.
Yep. Too much gold.
Too much gold.
Yeah.
Sunk it.
His movement is just that good.
There's plenty of gold. I mean, who knows? I mean, that always astounds me when you talk about the gold.
And his
cost
shooting.
Coffin of some of these places. I mean, obviously it's a decorative metal, but they had actually a ton of it because, I mean, it's literally like what, 100 plus kilograms of gold in one of these sarcophagus.
Yeah.
One of these masks, the Tutankhamun treasures or something. That's a lot of gold.
That was the other interesting thing, one of the other interesting things when we were on Elephantine Island this time. We went around the backside, and Yusuf was showing like that. He was like, there was a whole gold sifting operation here.
Oh yeah, you could be found.
Yeah, and he was like, look, you can just sort of push your hands through the dust and sort of shake it off, and you'll see little tiny gold specks. Because the whole island is laden with it. It's in the quartz, in the granite.
Yeah.
So they were mining and grinding this stuff, and then there's this entire mud brick town, and you could see layers and layers and layers of it.
Oh yeah.
Off the backside. It had been washed away in some flood, so it was sort of cut.
That was crazy going back there. It was
Yeah.
just this huge wall.
Yeah.
Just
That's some
all the pottery in there. Yeah, I was like, this is midden. God dang.
Carl got real excited.
Yeah.
And then it's like, let's go. I was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really interesting.
The other thing about that, though, the pyramid on the backside with there's that huge natural hole in the bedrock, in the granite bedrock.
Yeah.
And there's a pyramid back there. I don't know how big it was originally, but
Pretty small.
Yeah.
it's kind of a small pyramid.
Dude, I don't know why
Somebody
P Diddy was
just
ripping on
cut all the
Toad,
way into
man.
the center of it, kind of like
Like,
they
wow.
did in Kara. They were like cutting a hallway into the center of the pyramid, and in the middle is this giant natural. What are they called? Caulks?
Yeah, like a caulk, a pothole. In
A giant pothole in the granite made by the eddies in the river. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
That's where they had the Ark of the Covenant.
yeah.
They found it. Yeah, we did get into the Sadat temple down there too, which I've been wanting to get into for a long time. We finally got behind the door from the guys that closed it up. This is this really cool, again, ancient granite structure that's beneath the current temple that's
Yeah.
been rebuilt like 8 times in different eras.
That was
And
really cool.
yeah, it was kind of cool getting in. I've been wanting to get into that room for quite some time. Then there's another locked door over nearby that I know that there's something behind there you can't get to. That's
Yeah, really.
Valentine Island's like this mysterious place.
That was cool because you go into that door and it's now underground now, but there's the huge natural boulders, and you could see like they kind of reconstructed some of the mud brick walls where the people were building shelters, and then there's like a carving on the side of one of the hieroglyphs. I don't know. It was just that was really interesting.
Great place down there.
Just shows you, you know, how deeply that stuff has been buried, and this is. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I was blown away by that wall of Midden too.
Yo, what's up, calling both things, man?
Yeah, it's Elfstein Island's like
Let's go back to Tepe size Midden.
Yo, congrats on the bunker 121, man, or bunker 221.
How many meters was that, Ben?
That's huge, buddy. Congrats, man.
bunch. It was, yeah, he was
They said, I mean, the Göbekli Tepe Midden is like 15 meters deep or something.
It was something like that. It must, yeah, I mean, that's the realm of where this big giant wall of this stuff. I mean, you just, anywhere where the ground's been cut, you just see it. Pottery and the
Yeah,
giant
buddy.
civilization just pile up and-
Yeah, buddy.
If you look at the layers in detail, you can go down as like pottery, and then all this black granite.
Yeah.
And then it goes down some more and more pottery, and then there's a bunch of.
You're crushing it, man.
Yeah, and where he's excavated the area where the boxes are, there's a black granite box there that's been just shattered and quarried. And I'm looking at the mid layer. I'm like, yeah, they got down to the top of that box and just started just cutting into it.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. That gold was cool. I didn't know that was there either. Until you started talking about it.
Yeah, he was pointing that the area where the guy's doing current work, like where it's fenced off, but we saw him the first time we came there. He was there, and they had workers there, and they were moving stuff.
Yeah.
Wheelbarrows and stuff. He said, Yusuf said that's where they were.
It's
doing
huge, man.
gold stuff.
Over there, gold processing site.
Yeah, the processing site is over there where the archaeology is happening right now. So, yeah.
Yes.
Looking for who knows what. I mean, he's notorious. The guy who works on that site is
Yeah.
pretty well known.
The angry German. Yeah.
The angry
You
guy
can,
finding stuff
for
and
the
then just
ending,
basically builds a concrete pad over
but
it,
not
Yeah.
for
door on it and locks it and doesn't let anyone in there.
starts.
And no one really knows what he's doing.
Thanks,
He's been
buddy.
there forever, looking for something in particular.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
really interesting when you tie it to, you know, this was Ark of the Covenant.
Yep.
Apparently held here, right, for got 400 years or something.
Yeah. I mean, the first time. Was it the first
Thanks,
tour or
man.
the second tour when we were up on deck with Yusuf at night? He bought a bottle of wine, which he almost never does, and we were sitting up there chilling with him, having glasses of wine, and he was talking about that guy and that site, and he was like, I think he found something, and it was taken from him.
And that's
And
why
he's never recovered from that particular thing, and so now he seals everything up, and he doesn't tell anybody what's going on, and he's kind of very secretive. Like, he still is able to dig there, but the first time he found something, they took it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I have to say that's one of the most impressive reconstructions of a temple.
Yeah.
Like the work that they're doing there.
Yeah.
When you go, I mean, you can see all of the archaeological reconstruction, the concrete, the mortar, and everything. And there's like a piece of the pillar that's just shattered. And it's got like a leg, and then they've got the concrete reconstruction of the rest of the pillar, and they draw the whole guy out on there. And there's like another chunk of stone over there, and it's got a little bit of writing and a piece of some shape, and then they've drawn the rest of the tool that he's holding in his hand or whatever. Then you go along and you're looking, and like they've got these areas where they've collected all these small stones, like this big. Each one has like a little piece of writing or something on it, and then on the back he's got a number, alphanumeric, and they're just in this array. I was constantly telling people, don't step on that.
Don't mess with it.
I mean, it's incredible. The idea of like trying to rebuild this temple the way that they're doing it. It's can't imagine.
It is good. It's one of the better examples of reconstruction. I think.
Really
The
well done.
artwork in particular, like that's very clean. Like how they've redrawn those figures, and it just seems to look right.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, now you can see the big floor tiles in the temple area, and each one is numbered, right? And they're all put in place, by the numbers and stuff. It's pretty
Incredible.
amazing. Yeah.
And I just keep thinking like, he's trying to read this book.
Yeah.
Like, this is he's got all the pieces of pages laying around, and he's just like, it's just and then the tourists come in there and start stepping on his numbered rocks.
Yeah, I remember actually we were on, I think we went there last year too, and someone was leaning up against the one. I try to tell people, like, in your these temples, don't.
Yeah.
I mean, don't touch it. Like, try not. I mean, it is thousands of years old, and it's delicate, and it's color, and it's,
Yeah.
try not to touch it. I mean, if you have to, it's certain things, fine, but try not to generally touch it or lean up against it or whatever.
Yeah.
Someone's leaning up against it. One of his research assistants came up and said, excuse me, you're leaning on the ancient artwork that we're trying to restore. Yeah. Exactly.
I feel for the guy. I mean, I also still want to go and look at the progress, but
Yeah, I mean, it's
I understand.
Time, isn't it? Yeah, it must be brutal. I mean, it's got to be. Yeah, I mean, you can understand it. I think you can understand the mentality of somebody that is invested their life in trying to reconstruct or find something, and they're there every day, and it's just, people keep coming in, and you're like, just this is mine, go away.
Yeah.
I understand it. But
Yeah.
At the same time,
Yep.
I'm gonna jump in this box real quick.
Yeah. These assholes keep coming and climbing around on your decoding process. Yeah.
Where is stone AB 21479? Oh, sorry. Somebody kicked it over here a little bit.
Yeah. But that also happens, right? There's that triple corner block that we
you
found.
mention it.
Yeah. And we have never been able to find it since.
Gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Insane.
I have a couple- I
That
have
boost
two or three
out,
different artifacts that I
that
can-
door in the boost, that's probably a 17. Oh, okay, pretty slow run, but
you document it, and you leave it there, and
that far door,
and I've tried to find
and
it.
then
I've
that
actually
boost out,
I've got the motor, chase it down with the Star
you
Wars.
unpause at the
Yeah,
at the
it's
door.
locked. I showed them pictures of it. Is it in the museum? Did you move it? Is it here? Is it there? And they're like, nope, no idea. Someone's carried it off. Gone forever. But yeah, it was like a beautiful piece of one of these big boxes that on Elephantine Island, and it's the join between three of the bull noses. It's just that corner where you have these three beautiful bull noses come together on the next side of the corner. And yep, it's somebody's doorstep. It's on the antiquity market somewhere. I don't know.
Well, maybe they're gonna put it in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think you'd know a little bit
Yeah.
more about it if that was the case.
You mean in the gym?
No, yeah.
In the gym. Yes, they're taking it in the gym. They're like,
Yeah.
this is great for a lift.
In the gym.
The Grand
Which
Egyptian
is also
Museum.
a funny story, right? The Grand Egyptian Museum. I've stopped promising people that we're going to go in there.
Right. Yeah.
Still not open. And interesting fun fact: they've been building that thing for 20 years. 20 years.
Yeah.
And how long did they say it took to build the Great Pyramid again? Oh, 25 years. I see. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
This is a tiny little museum compared to the Great Pyramid. But no, you guys can't get it done in modern times in 20 years, and you expect us to believe that someone built the Great Pyramid with primitive methods in 25 years. Yep.
But going back to this idea of restoration,
Yeah.
it is conceivable.
So wiggly.
They pyramided previous large
Terrible
structure
lines.
in 25 years.
This is like the worst lines run.
Yeah, that's a lot more
This,
believable.
Especially if all the surrounding structure was already in place. The tiling,
Yeah.
the causeway, so they could drag their blocks up.
Yep.
Right.
The orientation is
Yeah.
there. I mean, you're not,
And they
having
built
to get
mud
that
brick
thing
ramps,
perfectly lined
blah
up.
blah blah. They did it all the ways, but there definitely is like all these. Every pyramid that you see that's in some like severe level of destruction, even the cut into Minkara, it gets to a vertical wall.
Yeah.
I mean, it's slightly tilted, but there's a superstructure
Interior
inside.
structure, yeah.
And like all those satellite pyramids that are degraded, like there's this really steep structure on the inside. They all
Yeah,
seem to
well,
have this.
My Doom in particular, like that's a real mystery because because the casing has fallen away so completely at my Doom. I mean, those blocks on the what is the outside of that interior structure look like they were finished.
Yeah, they look like
they were
finished.
intended to be the outside structure
Yeah.
originally, and then it was a true pyramid at one point, and that was all covered up, and now all that fell away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real interesting. It's an interesting hypothesis. Yeah, I mean, it makes more sense to me. Like that. I think it certainly fits in the renovation and reuse sort of themes, which I think is something that was heavily employed by the dynastic Egyptians. Given that I think they started with a lot of stuff, and you know, same. It's just a different interpretation of the timelines. I think it's the same explanation I try to give when people talk about, you know, Hatshepsut's obelisk at Karnak, this 450-ton massive obelisk, and they say, well, you know, the writing on it says that it was completed in, you know, 6 or 7 months, whatever it was. This
Yeah.
figure with this date. I'm
Like,
yeah,
come
that's
on,
nonsense.
man.
Like when you work backwards, you understand what it takes to quarry and shift and move and stand up and transport all this stuff. But I could believe that the carving on it was completed inside of that time.
Yeah.
Which I think that's a valid interpretation of what those glyphs on that obelisk say. It's like, yeah, she put a name on it and wrote all this beautiful carving that's all up and down that obelisk. Yeah, I think you can imagine that might have been completed in 6 or 7 months, given you've got to build the scaffolding and then plan it and get it done by stonemason. It's not like you can put 100 on one at once. So you've got to, you know, you're just going to have to do it in specific areas at a time.
And she claimed that it was carved with electrum, right? Wrought with
Wrought with electrum.
Yeah. So if this idea that, and we saw there's a beautiful hatchet.
It's like a knife or an axe or a hatchet.
Yeah, an axe.
This is in the Luxor Museum.
In the Luxor Museum, and they say that that there is electrum parts of it. And the second time I went to see it, and I went to look at it again, and I looked at it really closely, and I had the big light. And I'm trying to determine, like, do they think the whole thing is electrum, or is it inlaid? Because there's lots of scroll work on it and everything. You know, it's very decorated. But it's interesting because, you know, this idea of, like, what is it electrum exactly? The carving did claim that the obelisk was wrought with electrum. And the definition of that term is like worked with, right? Worked.
Yes.
So it implies that they used electrum tools to carve it.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to make any sense to me.
Right, I don't know, yeah.
Silver, gold. and
Right. Well, that's the question: is what is electrum? I mean, like, I know that one of the possibilities is that it was an alloy of silver and gold, but nobody really knows. Same with orichalcum. It's not really clear. I've seen also that is an alloy of gold and copper, but nobody actually knows what this stuff was.
Right.
Like Greek fire, we know about it. They talk about it, but nobody knows how to make it.
Roman company.
Yeah, yeah. Electrum and orichalcum. Yeah, these are mysterious materials from the ancient times.
That is interesting. Yeah.
So what do you think about there's ongoing reconstruction of Karnak as well, and Luxor?
Yeah, I mean, I can't. It's difficult to make my mind about it. I in general, I'm like probably against a lot of it. I mean, the way that they're rebuilding those statues is. I mean, it's the same reason why I don't think that it was a good idea to suggest that they were going to rebuild Menkara's pyramid, because you know it's only going to be a facsimile of what it once was. It's not what it once was. I think you can let people use their imagination to imagine what it once was without putting an idea in their head about a vastly inferior facsimile of what it actually was. And you see that's been the result for a lot of the statue work that they're doing at Karnak and Luxor. I mean, it's so visibly in our modern work. I mean, look, not to take it any away from the sculptors and the artisans that are actually rebuilding these statues, and they're making them from concrete, right?
Like what?
Then they paint the concrete to make it look like granite. It's kind of a funny modern version of what I think is the imitation that happened in the early periods when they would imitate these granite vases. Because you can see this perfect, amazing granite vase, hardstone vase next to a pottery vase that's painted to look like granite. And it's funny because we're doing exactly the same thing now.
Yeah.
Except they're just making these, they're gluing together parts of the original thing with concrete, and then they're painting it to look like granite and putting dots on it, and it's exactly the same thing. And it just doesn't. You can see it. It's vastly inferior to the original stonework, but at the same time, I guess it's restoring a bit of the grandeur to the structure. On the negative side again is that they are taking away access to parts of those statues that you wouldn't have access to if they weren't on the ground already.
Yeah.
Like there's the head that I talk about all the time, the one that Chris Dunn analysed that's out the front of the Luxor statue. That's now 30 feet up in the air on the top of a reconstructed concrete body.
Yeah.
There was one of the better head jets inside the temple, this incredibly smooth, amazing head jet. In fact, I went and looked at some old Chris Dunn and talking to him, some of his older photos of that temple. I mean, all of the head jets used to be in front of they would put the pieces of the statue in front of where the statue was, and whatever remnants of it was still standing, so you could go up and look at them and sort of play with the pieces. Now all these pieces have been kind of reassembled and they're putting them back on the statue, and it's all stuck together with concrete. So I don't know what you guys think about it, but I'm generally like, I kind of wish they'd leave it alone and just document it and let us use our imagination.
Yeah, rebuild it on a computer. Would be great.
There you go.
I agree with you, and also the thing I worry about is that the construction efforts are so shoddy in a lot of cases that what most likely is going to happen is more destruction of the original statue because the head's going to fall again.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah.
You know, it's like the head was whole when it was on the ground, and they just put it 30 feet back up there, and the next time it falls because of the crappy concrete work, it's going to break.
It's stuff. That's right. And you have to look no further than around the Giza Plateau, where they've been doing work and building stuff for decades now, and all that modern stuff is just falling apart.
It's falling apart.
It takes 15, 20 years, and then it starts falling apart. And
now
it's a joke Yusuf makes every time. It's like, look at this. Look at this. This modern work is literally in worse shape than the thousands of years old stuff, and it's only taken 20 years to get there.
Yeah. So the museum is a good alternative, to put things in the museum, because then they're protected from the wind and sand erosion, and whatever chemical process is happening with this granite.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I'm now pretty firmly believing that it's something to do with some kind of chemical process that's going on with the granite sitting in the sand, deep in the sand. Because it literally is just peeling away so that's going to destroy the artifacts if they're sitting in sand, or if the sand's blowing up against them again. So, I mean,
yeah, we found a section of obelisk in Karnak that had big glyphs all over it, and it was sitting up on this thing, and you could see that the glyphs themselves had been vastly eroded into in a similar way that we've seen on these other things. But it had glyphs, and
the glyphs themselves.
The glyphs themselves are like just falling apart.
Eroded.
Yeah.
So it was after they cut the glyphs that this erosion began. So and I was paying a lot more attention to that in a lot of cases where they have excavated an artifact, the underside that would have had contact with the ground, not wind and sand erosion, but would have been buried, is the most degraded.
Have you guys been to Memphis? I don't think you've been to Memphis.
No.
We don't know what it says. We should get up there because they have that big, it's like a 150, 200-ton statue of the colossal Ramses laying on his back. It's in that room. You might
Yeah, we haven't seen that one yet. I've seen pictures, yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like it's like where it was buried it's very eroded, and then it's like there's like a part, like it's almost like a line you can trace. Either I think that's where it was buried, or maybe that was what was exposed. I'm not really sure, but
Yeah,
one
I'm
of
pretty
those
sure
two,
that's-
there's definitely a different effect either in or out of the ground. Probably the in ground.
I think it's
guess.
in. I mean, I looked.
With granite in particular.
Yes.
Yeah. That made me reevaluate the
granite at Karnak.
and the statue of the head with the head jet on it in the Luxor Museum of what's his name? I can't remember the pharaoh's name. Yeah, right. The guy right on the side. One side of it is just like massively
Yeah.
eroded. Yeah, and the other side is beautiful and polished. Right? And it's like that. It's the side that's eroded that was under
In the ground.
In the ground. Yeah. It's crazy.
That's weird because it's like the reverse in places like Tiwanaku.
Yeah.
Different material, andesite, maybe, and probably a different acidic,
Mhm.
or different soil,
Soil composition,
chemical
yeah.
composition. Because the stuff in places like Tiwanaku, it's like the stuff that was exposed is tremendously eroded, but it's
Yeah.
whatever was in the ground, they stood it up, and that's been preserved.
But
Right.
again, they're
It's an interesting point.
rainfall, all this stuff that they might be getting. Like, yeah,
But this is the
different story.
This is the argument they're making with the Sphinx as well, is that under the sand, it was getting heavily degraded by water getting into the sand and stuff. That's what they're saying. But I've seen this effect on granite. I haven't seen it so much on limestone.
Yeah, I know that's weird because
It is
you
a-
would
it is
think
granite.
you would think that it was the chemical composition of the limestone being dissolved and flowing with the water that's affecting the granite.
Yeah.
So like if you have a piece of limestone, then most likely it would just concrete onto the limestone.
Right.
Like
It would stick to
imagine,
it.
You imagine it would build up on the limestone
Yeah.
as opposed to the way
Right.
it
It should accrete.
accrete.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, when Chuck talked about it, like he said, it's not acidic. It's whatever the soil is. It can't really be acidic because all the limestone would be
Yeah.
gone. So it's something else that's happening. Maybe it's just moisture in the granite. And this is, this point gives me some fears for things like the labyrinth, which are, in the
I know, yeah.
in the ground.
Yeah.
Like it's going to look like this super eroded crap stuff. You might be able to
Oh,
tell what it
wow.
was.
Well, this is another
Something
thing.
written on it.
The Valley Temple and the Osirian, the upper parts of those pillars are in better condition than the lower. Like
Yeah.
down
Yeah,
down
I know.
at the lowest levels, they're flaking away. And, you look at the Valley Temple columns. I mean, they're
Yeah.
beautiful up top, and then as they get lower, where they were buried in sand, it's like
Yeah, there's
crappy.
there's like big sections of some of those pillars in the Assyrian that are just like they've set the exterior part is separated.
Yeah.
We saw it also on the
Like a quarter-inch thick
Yeah.
slab of just peeling off of it.
the statue at the Ramesseum also has, you can see big like I don't know, like a skin. The part that's polished has been like almost separated from
It's spawned.
Yeah.
Big chunks of it.
Yeah, I broke one off of one of the Assyrian pillars. The skin. I was like,
You destroyed the Assyrian.
yeah, I just broke this.
Come
ancient
on,
monument.
man. Like, come on.
Little chunk comes off.
There's work going on at the Assyrian too. I mean, shit, we're out of time here, but there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, the Assyrian was cool. I got to some interesting spots on the Assyrian.
We
I
did.
a little video about it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go to Ben's channel and check out his exploration of the Assyrian he did on site.
Yeah. Well, you guys did an epic number. You did a bunch of live streams there. We did one together. We did a chat together. But yeah, you guys did a whole bunch of live streams.
Yes.
Insights.
So for those of you listening, and I got some emails from some people asking like, "Where's the podcast? What happened? I know you went to Egypt. What happened?" So
We told you
yeah,
we would vanish to pyramids.
right. But we published quite a bit of stuff. There's lots of live stream material on the YouTube channel. It didn't get into the podcast feed. So if you were missing stuff, you've got hours and hours and hours of Egypt content of us live streaming from there. So, yeah, we did multiple museum streams. We did on-site streams at Karnak and Luxor and Giza and yeah.
The soul's like follow me
Soul
around.
following us around in the museum, just singing Mario the entire time.
Oh,
Mario
really?
theme, yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Like, bruh.
Big stuff.
We look at him, he's like, sorry. Dun, 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 dun.
That was great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah,
coming on, Ben, and the trips with you are always awesome.
Hell yeah.
And we are already planning the next one, folks. So we're definitely going again. Yeah, stay tuned.
What? Such a scam.
Yeah.
February is the time.
Yeah.
Right.
That is the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great. I mean, the weather was fantastic for the most part. Nice and cool. So didn't do too much sweating. All the Egyptians think it's like ice cold. They're all wearing 3 jackets. Yeah.
It's freezing.
Yeah.
It was good though.
Yeah. It was
The
great.
weather was perfect.
Yeah. All right.
So I'll put a page up on my website about it. I'm going to do future stories. I'm getting tons of emails about people and people reaching out trying to get figure out when the next one is. I'm going to put at least a future intentions and ideas sort of thing. It's not committed or whatever, but at least the plans and what we're working on is going to go up there. But as I've told several people, if you really want to get on the tours, the best way you can join my Patreon or join the Snakes Patreon, because we always give Patreon members and supporters, or YouTube channel members, etc., subscribe stuff for me and locals and stuff. All of those, anyone who's supporting the channel, we give them early access to register for these tours.
Yeah.
They get to hear about it first. So.
No, like why? Like come on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once it went out in the public, I mean, this first trip was like 4 or 5 days gone.
Yeah.
And then, it was nice we got to put on the second tour, because that second tour was made up almost exclusively of people that were like, God damn it, I missed it. I missed the timing to get on the first, so they were happy we threw a second one on.
Yep.
Which we only did because we had to cancel the trip to Lebanon, for obvious reasons.
Yep.
And then,
Well, we got to get out there eventually.
Yeah, we will.
We do, we will. But
There are other places to go as well.
Yeah.
there are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on that too. So.
We are. We have many plans, people. So stay tuned.
Yep.
Keep watching the Uncharted X channel and Brothers of the Serpent, because we are going to be traveling the world, and we want to take you guys with us. It's so awesome.
It is. Yeah.
All right.
That's a good time.
Yeah.
Do some jamming.
Yes, and we'll always jam. Yeah. All right, Ben, thanks so much. You can, everybody knows where you are, unchartedx.com and on YouTube. Anything else?
Thank you guys.
Definitely support the
thank
show.
You guys.
Yeah.
Great catching up. Looking forward to the Eclipse event coming up here shortly.
Yeah, that's right.
And then of course we're also all going to be together at the Cosmic Summit.
Yes. Cosmic Summit.
Yeah. Yep. Coming up in June. CosmicSummit.com for tickets and information. It's going to be a fun
Why?
conference. A lot of really cool people coming.
It's so
Robert
dumb,
Schock's
man.
Coming, who is from India? Praveen Mohan.
Yeah, Praveen. Yeah, Praveen's going to be there.
Meeting him. Randall, of course. You guys.
We still haven't put our presentation together, but it's going to be great. Whatever it's going to be about, it's going to be awesome.
It's unfinished. The presentation.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put the links to the Cosmic Summit and everything in the show notes for anybody who's interested. You guys should definitely go to that. It's always a good time. There's gonna be
Or
lots
live
of
stream it.
Yeah. People do the live stream.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
We love you.
Always have.
Always will.
Come on. Like why?
Get back to work.
Like, come on, man.
ancient seabed high atop the Everest Plateau. We recently experienced an eclipse, which we had a fantastic, like an amazing eclipse in the Canyon event, and Ben from Uncharted X was there at the event, and so here he is in studio for the first time. Yeah, buddy, you've been on the show like how many times, and here you are.
I'm not the most of some of the people I understand, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's actually, I've been meaning to get out of
Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic to have you out here. So you're seeing the
You need to put the tilde, buddy.
yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
You need to put the tilde.
It's like 1800 yards. So we did it in 2 days. Repeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take a little bit longer to get back. Yeah, it was good though.
Yeah.
I hadn't done a great US road trip just yet. I think I've broken the track.
Yeah. I mean, that qualifies as a great US.
What's
road
up,
trip,
Hideyoshi?
But you don't have to do
True. Add them together a bit close.
it. Right.
Glad you're here, man.
Yeah. So the well, I could start with the eclipse. What an amazing. I mean, overall, the whole event. Of course, we had music. We did presentations. Ben did a fantastic one. Luke.
There we go, buddy.
He's been on the show multiple times. Did an excellent presentation on the Olmec. I mean, some of that stuff I'd never seen before. It was really cool.
I learned a bunch with his
Yeah.
presentation. It's something I'm like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to pay a bunch more attention to this one.
Yeah, sure. And you know, like I said, Ben did a good one. Kyle and I did one that was kind of like we almost basically just did a live podcast. We sat up there on stage and you know, talked back and forth about new things that we just saw and thought about Egypt, which is what we're going to do this episode. Also, we want to take you guys' questions. Kyle is still, what are you doing? He's still,
Just making sure it's on.
he's doing technical stuff over here.
It was a little quiet. Am I? Yeah. Compared to us, we're like,
You fixed it? Okay,
I
good.
know those latest ones. It should be good.
Yeah,
Don't mind me, boys. I had not. So I mean, I had not experienced an eclipse. I mean, you see partial ones
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
here and there.
Sorry to hear that, dude.
That was something else. I mean, we were. You guys. It was funny. We've been talking about it for a while, obviously. And then in Egypt, and it's looking forward to this so much. And even then, we were like, it might be cloudy.
Yeah. Like, hopefully it's not cloudy.
These guys are stressing out about it being
Yes.
cloudy. And we had beautiful weather for a couple of days.
Yep.
It was perfect. Eclipse days.
Yep.
But the eclipse day, it was bad. It was, but Colin and I talked about this too. It almost added to the experience. It added, like, it would come out behind the clouds as, you know, because it's like an hour-long process.
Yeah.
As the moon starts crossing the thing, and it's just, you'd see it for a while, there'd be in a gap in the clouds, and you're just staring at the clouds, there's 2 layers of clouds that are moving in different directions,
Right.
and it would peel open. And then during the actual totality, it was just magically,
Right.
just.
Oh, yo, what? Come on, game. Are you serious? Fine, thank God.
That was intense. Quite an experience.
Yeah. I mean, people were shouting and cheering and screaming and crying. Yeah, not only all the people.
I was one of those people crying.
I heard people across the road and at other properties doing it. I mean, you know, I bet the entire state, like, or you know, everybody in our area, except for it's different where you are, but people all over the place. I mean, that was wild to see that. We were just like, man, because the last thing we had seen was this little tiny crescent, and then it just vanished behind really dark clouds. Like that you know, the clouds have been light colored, it's sort of, you know, silvery gray, and then suddenly this dark group of clouds, and of course it was getting darker the whole time. So you know, it was
Come
very
on,
eerie.
dude.
It kept getting darker. I'm like, okay, that's probably it. Nope, it's darker. Yeah, I'm like, okay, and it's darker again, and then finally this hole just appears in multiple cloud layers, and bam. It's just sitting there glowing in flames coming off the side, and just like devil's anus. Yeah.
It was magic.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was 100%.
And
magical.
the festival itself was, I had such a phenomenal time. I thought it was really well put together. Laura did an amazing
Yeah.
job organizing, and all the people that helped as well. We had a great staff, great venue. The music, you guys were epic. Like, so
No, thank you.
It was the Dynasty show, right? This is the album. We
Yes.
released the album.
It was like 2 years ago. Album release party just happened. It's like, yeah, we get stuff done in this band.
Yeah.
But no, it was an honor to do the release party in that setting. That was actually really cool. I mean, all these people who, so many of them have been friends because of other events that we've done on tours and whatnot, and bringing all the people together there, and of course the eclipse, and having the presentations, and just that whole vibe to do that for the release party rather than just like go to some club and play. It was awesome.
In a festival like that.
Yeah.
And you guys, I mean, it was incredible.
Awesome.
And Ben came up with us and rocked out. Kyle and Ben and I did like along with Wade, who was drumming for us on the kit. The four of us, did the Deos like drum session, and that was absolutely epic. I mean, Ben came up for the beginning of the song, and him and I sat there doing the djembe part, right? And Kyle's doing all the vocals or whatever, and the guitarist is building it up. Ty and William are building up the guitar part, and of course GMA's back on the bass, just laying it down.
What? How did that not slap him? Like what?
Wade's hitting the snare, and the snare comes in, and Kyle just puts the mic down and grabs this big. was it a kick drum?
I guess it was like a kick. I don't know.
Yeah,
All the bottom,
layered
like,
sideways. He had huge mouths, and he's like, boom, boom, boom. We just start. God, this is rocking. Dude. The whole stage is vibrating. Oh my God, it was fantastic.
Yeah, those are like some kind of drums that you hold with the strap and strap onto yourself. Yeah, like this massive bass drum. It was great.
We played. So people are asking which song. We played them all. We played the whole album,
All the way through.
in order that they are on the album. And then we, finished it up with some Pink Floyd. One cover of Pink Floyd. That was fun. Yeah, that was it. And of course, again, thanks to Laura for all the organization. Darren and Graham from Grimerica, they were involved in it, and they came all the way down from Canada and helped out.
Darren's really the ideas guy behind it.
Yeah.
He's just like, we gotta do this.
Right. Yeah, he's kind of useless otherwise, but I saw Graham helping you do stuff. And then, of course, we also have to thank, and many of you that listen to the show have heard us talk about the Propanator. The old Propanator is his property. So yeah, Propane Depot.
He's an excellent live sound engineer.
Yeah, he did the live sound, the lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, not only an event coordinator and property owner, but just all around handyman. But he also was fantastic at running the sound.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks, Propanator. Also heard he's good at sim racing.
Yeah, he might be quite good at sim racing.
Yeah.
He races with like Formula One.
Yeah, he has a kick-ass like custom setup. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're gonna take it down.
We're gonna destroy him. We do a weekly load. He said he's gonna jump. He did. He said he's gonna jump.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, we basically have been living together for 6 weeks.
Yeah, more than that. Yeah. We're like Ben's joined the family.
Yeah.
We're all brothers now.
Now living out.
So Laura, Snake Life, wants everyone to know like that this event was so much fun that next year she wants to do another one. There's no eclipse, obviously, but she's just like, this was amazing. Let's put together another event. So she says the tickets are going on sale soon, Friday the 12th. She says more entertainment will be added to the lineup. We're working on extending the event an extra day and adding in a day outing. So hiking or biking or going on the river or something, so stay tuned. Yeah, Garner State Park is nearby, so it was just so much fun to meet everybody and hang out and, just, of course, all the conversations, because everyone's a Rose of the Serpent or Grimerica or Uncharted X or Luke Caverns or Dave. I also mentioned Dave Matheson was there.
He got up and jammed the didgeridoo.
Yeah, he's didgeridoo. He gave, his star presentation, giving people, orienting them to the night sky, and so it was all great, so.
Technically, we played 2 shows.
We did.
Because the first night there was supposed to be like an open jam session, and there wasn't. I guess the way it worked out was I was told get up there and jam. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
So I grabbed these guys and Daniel and
Yeah, we had Dozer Dan, bassman Dan.
and we just like got up there and made up about 30 minutes. Just like all right, it was funking out. And
60 minutes on.
it's like let's make this song as long as possible.
Yeah.
No lyrics, just instrumental. And then Dave came up, played the didgeridoo, and played the Washington bass.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was cool. So we had a good jam session.
Yeah. I think Troy. We had a super chat from Troy.
Yes.
Let me read that. I think we're letting stuff slide here. Troy, yeah. $10 says first live since Egypt. Can't wait to hear about the eclipse of Venezuela. Well, thanks, Troy.
Thank you so much.
Like this game, man.
We should mention also, I know it's stand-up, there's also stand-up comedians who have stand-up.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a couple sets of stand-up comedians.
Yeah.
They killed it.
And I want to shout Ollie's been in these events. He cooks for us. He works
Yes.
his butt off making all the food for the VIP side. And he's been in a couple of these events. And he went up and he told me before
Yeah.
he does stand-up.
They asked him like, "Hey, you gotta."
Yeah, he was hilarious.
Yeah, and then all the comedians were very magic. Top that off after the music show going on.
Yeah, late night they crammed us all in this little room with the tape. We were all close.
Yeah.
I love stand-up comedy.
Owen Hunt was there, and he did some stand-up, and Owen is one of the ones that does the Magic on the Mountain events for America. So like,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I didn't
So I had met him before. Yeah, he's cool. Yeah, he does the sort of. Don't hate me, Owen, because I can't remember. I don't want to get this wrong, but he does like sort of like a kind of he doesn't do the grimoire magic, right? Which is what you're talking about, like old school, like tell me your name, demon. He does the other stuff, the more chaos magic, where you're sort of manifesting things. So he's done the Magic on the Mountain stuff, and yeah, he also is a stand-up. So he did the stand-up. So I don't know the other guy. What was
bravery, pure
Yes.
bravery. I got
Bravery.
After I actually in the crowd, it was good. It was like the right comedian for the right crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so much fun. Yeah. And camping. That's what was it? We camped 4 or 5 days maybe. Something. God doesn't know.
So you were in the same clothes. Has he even slept?
Yeah. Does he sleep?
You want to see him running around fixing stuff.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
I thought the same thing
useless.
about Ollie. I was just like, dude, I would stay up super late with him and then go to bed, and then I'd wake up, the coffee was done, the breakfast already been cooked. And
Yeah.
It's like, good grief.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, so last episode,
Come on,
we were
man.
talking with Ben, remotely about Egypt, and when we were finishing the conversation, we were like, well, there's still plenty of things to discuss. And now he's here with us, and we're just like, well, let's get in the studio and continue our conversation from last week. So, one of the things I did want to mention, and I've been going back and forth on how to talk about this because I'm not really clear on a lot of the things that I saw, but I climbed the well shaft on the Great Pyramid. And we've been talking about this for years, and I know, many of you who listen to the show know, because Kyle's mentioned like, this shaft and get up there. But it's like, for some reason, when we get in the pyramid, there's,
No way, are you
stuff
serious?
to do, and like we're leading people up and to the king's chamber, and then we take them down to the subterranean chamber or whatever, and like you keep looking at this little, this little side tunnel that goes into the well shaft.
What?
And you have to crawl through some rubble to get in there. And maybe I don't have a good enough flashlight this time. But this time, so we went through the first tour, and I was doing this. I was looking at it, and seems hard. We're tired. I don't know. The second time we went to the Great Pyramid, I was just like, you know what? I gotta do this. I have to do it. And that I specifically, I didn't go running all over the place in the pyramid first to get myself tired. I went up we went up into the King's Chamber, came back down, and went into the Queen's Chamber. I did some talking in there about the Queen's Chamber shafts and telling the Cantor Brink story and everything. And then Ben and I came outside. Ben was already near the entrance. We both went out, and we climbed up to the original entrance. Which Kyle, I've got I gave you I got a couple of pictures if you can pull them up.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so it's this is the thing with I can't remember if we talked about this last week or not. It doesn't matter. So
you're not supposed to climb around on the outside of the pyramid, right? And we're doing this at night because this is a special permission. So the plateau is closed, but we have permission. Our group specifically has permission to go in. We get through, we get onto the plateau. We drive up really close to the Great Pyramid, and then we're just supposed to climb up and go in Mamun's Hole, which is the way that tourists enter the pyramid today.
You ready for your service?
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up.
So this is the, you know, you guys are probably familiar with this, the chevron, this giant chevron blocks here right over the original main entrance, or at least the known main entrance of the pyramid. And there's this just below this is yeah,
Steel bright and the wood bright and it's the way that the sun takes its
yeah. So these, I mean, first of all, just speaking in terms of construction, these chevron blocks are very interesting in terms of structure. You know, this double chevron right over the entrance here is just, I don't know, I find it fascinating. These blocks would not have been visible in the finished, in the completed structure. They're beautiful, but they would have been hidden completely.
That is how you relieve pressure.
Yeah.
in the community.
Yeah, I mean that's some of those similar several blocks.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we don't know. I mean, these blocks specifically wouldn't be visible, but we don't actually know what was in front of them.
That's right.
There's any record that there was the mechanism there, because the interesting thing is that there does seem to be some evidence that there was some sort of mechanism based on what I wanted to get up there and look at.
A guard, man. Like, what? Okay.
I guess, real quick, super chat. Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant to mention this one too. King Fuji, $10 says, clouds broke right before totality for me as well in the Dallas area. I've heard multiple people across the country say the same thing. Is there any way the drastic change in solar light could cause this? Yes. Actually, when I read some Space for the News on our live podcast at the event, and one of the things that is happening is there's this shadow of the moon crossing, you know, the surface of the planet, and it's moving a relative 1,500 miles per hour, but it's bringing with it a kind of a column of cold air. The temperature will drop between, you know, they said that it's been measured 8 to 15 degrees in this shadow of the moon, and that causes a whole bunch of air currents, and of course, if you have cloud cover, and the cloud cover is there due to a specific atmospheric condition of heat and humidity, then dropping the temperature like that can, not always, but can cause the clouds to disperse briefly, just like sort of turning your AC on to get rid of fogginess on your windshield can do that, just like it'll just clear fog. It can also have a reverse effect. It can cause the clouds to show up more. It just depends on the atmospheric conditions. But there's this really cool graphic that was made showing how the shadow passes across. There was a set of clouds,
A band of clouds there, and when the shadow is across, the clouds they thin out, and then after the shadow passes, they thicken up again, right? That's the effect of it. So yeah, it could cause it, and it may have. I don't know. But okay,
What?
so let's go back to this entrance. When we were looking at this picture, I wanted to mention
this strange.
Trying to get a better
Yeah. The. See the. This. This here is always been. I think this is a strange. Yeah.
That's where they put that real estate in the front. One of the new chambers the real estate in. Just below that chevron.
That's what I'm talking about. Those are.
So just below this, like they drilled it into here somewhere.
Yeah. Those things are. I don't know what they are, but those are the only known carved sort of features on the entire pyramid at this point. Because they're not
I mean,
blocks, you know.
Right. If they look, I mean, you could say that the what is the chamber right before the antechamber
gonna
has
say-
some similar stuff. Okay, yeah, well, you should have said it.
Oh, you mean like it might be some kind of functional?
Has that link pattern. Blocks made.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Mountains and then there's another ainames. There are some of those
What? There's mines here?
What is this building? Which pyramid did Ramses II build?
none.
All of them.
All of them.
Or he probably had his name.
Oh.
Right. Thanks, Lee. Yeah, that's right. But this feature is just, I don't know, I see what you guys are saying. But this almost, that almost looks like it's supposed to mean something. Like, it isn't really, it could be like teeth from a deer or like two buildings or two mountains in the distance. Or, I know you want to come up with some
What?
ideas, it's just strange.
And again, I think there's indication that there was some sort of mechanism in front of this. It might have had something to do with that door, with the center of the passage, because the reason we got up there is because there's a granite block up there. Very few people know about. I think it's looking over. I don't know about the I tried to get up there before and taken some sort of shaky telephone camera footage of this kind of block to get to it. One of the challenges of doing this often is the chances you get. This is all off limits.
Yeah.
In the back of the day, I think 2016, you could, even as recent as that, you could walk up and like it's the same.
You know, they've got the concrete stairs that run up to the main entrance. Those extend up. They just put a gate in them, and it goes up and around to that main entrance. And you used to be able to just walk up there and look at it, and now it's all just off limits. And then you end up visiting this stuff late at night for like that's probably a good one.
Yeah.
Sure. You go up there at night time. I mean, if for a special permission visit, it's of course you talk to the guys and they're like, yeah, okay, you could go up there. But no lights.
No lights.
Because it's the police on the plateau. There's plenty of guys out there. If they start to see lights, a bunch of courses up the pyramid, they start to get pretty excited.
That's right, yeah.
So we got over there dark, and then it was nice because Russ was there, and we both one of us could shine a light on it. And there was a granite block right near the top of the mountain. This is it here.
Yeah.
It's one of the few granite blocks that's on the outside. We're one of the only ones really. Today there's more of these inside, but we happens to have three of these just massive tooth grills now. This is one of the things that I talked about in my presentation. Clips of that is the associations that Great Pyramid actually has with two villages. Some two villages. Not people don't associate that so much with the Great Pyramid, but there's actually a whole bunch of different examples of it in the pyramid. And one of the best examples is here with the block of dimensions. This is not like the decoration, but this is a functional block. This is probably in its original location. It's been quarried. You can see that block's been split like you often see along the axis of the pole because it's weak through the stone, so they're trying to take this and split the block along that axis. But then there's other blocks behind it. We don't know what was in front of it. And there's a space on the other side of the rail, or the passage that goes down to the descending passage, where one of these blocks may have also existed. So, assuming that these holes are functional, which I think quite obvious they were, then they may have been part of some sort of mechanism or something that was going on at the front door, basically.
Yeah, like some kind of rotating prism block or whatever. Yeah, something like that.
this,
Because the other thing, you can't really see it in this picture or the other pictures that I have of this, and it was difficult to take good photos because, like you were saying, we're up there in the dark. Right here, we're down in what amounts to like the beginning of
Why?
the descending
What?
passage, but we're still in the open air outside the pyramid. But because we've gone down in behind some blocks, Ben is able to shine his light here.
I would imagine this is probably obvious, but it's got to be associated with the door because there's motion in the door. The door's going to be moving.
Yeah.
And
Rotating
limestone, like a heavy limestone block or something rotating on another limestone block is going to just go into the way.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had a granite door and granite, lintel or whatever where the hinges are,
Exactly.
and Petrie talked about that there would be a prism block there that you could put just like it would be balanced in such a way where you could put the right amount of weight against it and lift it up and give you a passage. And
It's meant to be open and closed.
Yeah.
exactly.
But the other thing I want to point out about this entrance is that all around the outside of the pyramid, you see, the layers, each courses. But right here where the descending passage starts, all of these blocks around that are basically part of the
Structure of the descending passage itself are tilted in the angle of the passage itself. So there's this very steep ramp, that's where the block is sitting on this ramp going down towards where the passage itself is. But not just the passage blocks itself, but a whole bunch of them are all tilted and angled inward to dive down through the pyramid courses and then into the bedrock. There's a. But I've got other pictures. Ben was talking about the core drills. We took some.
Yeah, there's me. So what I did, this was difficult to get up here, but I climbed. We went down those steeply tilted blocks.
Maybe 5 more minutes, maybe less.
Right up next to those chevrons and that weird, whatever it is, the two, the two buildings or the whatever. The shape there, and felt around in the dark. Because Ben was saying that maybe that there was a hole there that they had drilled, but we were looking for it. I couldn't really find it. Of course, it was also pitch black.
I heard somebody actually open something that there was enough space for a small person to get into.
Maybe this block has been removed and put back in place.
But I was basically standing on that standing right below those chevrons.
The tube drill itself is really interesting.
Yeah.
Look how long this is. It's a very long tube drill, which is
Somebody asked what's the width, like 4 inches maybe? I think.
yeah,
4-inch diameter.
4-inch tube drill.
Yeah.
And it's just deep grooves and striations like you typically see with these types of it's just and the length of it is really interesting because one of the things that we see from the cores that come out of these holes there's a whole bunch of them in the Petrie Museum and also in other museums.
Come on, give me a boost, man. I needed a boost.
But a lot of those cores are tapered slightly, so they're thicker at the bottom than they are at the top, which could be slop in the process, it could be anything that might indicate a tapered tool. But when you see something that's this length, and then you see other indications of very long tubular drills that are used during the process, with the work that goes in unfinished presentation, right, where they mark the corners and then drill down, and then cut the walls back to those pins, which usually actually end up in the blocks.
Yeah.
It seems to me like, this is some tools, some sophisticated tools doing this, that they would drill long holes like this. It's fascinating. And the other two holes behind it are just full up with debris and sand. You can't really see it. This one is really interesting.
And look at the depth and the size of these striations. This is not like tiny little grinding marks, which you get from the grinding process. These are, those are easily visible, like the stuff that Petrie was saying about it, like some jewel tip just plowed through the material here is what it looks like, right? We don't know that for certain, but that is definitely what it looks like, what it appears to be.
You don't get this design in those thin cuts. You get this dense stocks that experimental archaeologists do. This smile is all done with copper tubes. He's done the experiment. No one's ever seen a good photo of the core he snapped out in a documentary, which is he has a low-res picture book, which is also can't make out much stuff like this. Chris Dunn did the experiment. He took a copper tube and drilled ran through rock or came with it. It basically polishes up that surface. I mean, there was a study in the early 80s done by some people in Penn State where they used 4 or 5 different compounds and designed compound sand and then some silicon carbide thing, and they looked at the knobs because they didn't drill holes when they drilled down the protrusion of granite to look at the outside. It's like a core that's open, and they they left it attached, and then they looked at it under a microscope, and it's just the finest of concentric lines. It's a spiral. It's a very fine, grinding process, and it's a different signature. It's a different tool, and then this is what I talk about. Some of I wanted to get into these core drills or tubular drills, because there's been some new work done on these in terms of the analysis of them and
so everyone knows it well. A couple of people looked at him, Chris Stone's looked at him, but there's more people than that. There's an aerospace engineer named Eric Wilson, who has also been to the Petrie Museum and done this test. He's done the cotton thread wrap test, where you just, you look up at it on the magnification, you very carefully wrap the cotton thread in his spiral. He went, he went down like 12 revolutions and he got bored.
Yeah. He's like, it's a spiral.
It's a spiral.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, what else is in his museum? He grabbed a few of the other cores, some assault cores and deployment cores, and he did the same test, and it's like the same result. They are spiral.
Yeah.
There's no question. And now I've, in the last couple of years, I've got some really awesome photogrammatical 3D scans of holes, of the holes left by a tubular drill, that I think you can now, because this really high resolution, you can get, something else I learned recently is that you can actually get very precise results from photogrammetry. But it should be, it looks like it's good enough with these models where you could unfold them and start to look at the geometry if these holes also show a spiral pattern to them, which I suspect they do. When you eyeball them, they kind of do. Obviously, you can look at complete holes, it's a little harder to look at like partial holes like this one. But, I've got these models and it's one of those things that I'm too nervous to get more into it. But can I request a spoiler? Because you gave the presentation at the Eclipse event, but what was the point? Tell us the point about when the standard model says these drill cores were made and when the pyramid was made. What's the point? Well, so the controversy around the tubular drills is, and what I've always found odd, and this has been going on for more than 100 years, is that the standard model, or the people that are, I guess, in charge of that or behind it, will never admit that this is spiral. There seems to be a concerted effort to never admit that there is a spiral. That one, yes, but specifically about I thought you made a point about when they think these tubular drills started, and then what date the pyramid they say was made. I think that's part of the reason why there's a strong resistance. It's the implications of what it means. It's because the problem with it being a spiral drill, this is why when Stokes' book says note the circular or concentric lines or the horizontal grooves, it's the same as the old cores, and these guys were studying the 83 book. They were literally trying to settle a scholarly debate that was being held between Patrick and his views, who were arguing about the same thing, the same spiral, the same quantity. And they didn't even mention the word spiral. They just say, its concentric lines look the same as each cores. Picture of them in the paper. It doesn't have anything like it. It's kind of funny. Just look at it. You can tell it's not the same. But the problem is because it's spiral, and Petrie says this in his book, he calculates the penetration of this. How deep it goes. 60, yeah. So it's like every revolution. If you unwind that circular motion to like a straight line, you go, okay, so for every 60 inches of horizontal travel for the drill bit, like you get a spiral motion, you get 1 inch of vertical travel. So it's a 1 in 60 rate. So for each rotation of it, it's something like 0.1 of an inch or something. It's penetrating on the stone, and that's phenomenal. Because if you look at our modern, diamond tubular drills and tools that we use to drill through hard stone like this and all the modern technology, it's the actual rate of penetration per revolution, horizontal or per revolution, is 500 times greater than what we can do with our tools today. Now our tools move at a much higher speed, they're effective, they cut through that stone. We don't know, this might have been moving slowly. Who knows how quickly it actually works, but in terms of penetration rate, it's significantly great. It's clearly not the same technology that we're doing it basically the same parameter thing. It's just a much more advanced version of the copper tube. We're using harder stone and stuff. It's not cutting, it's grinding.
I love this idea, because whenever you say that, and I've read Chris Stone say the same thing, like maybe they were, like it doesn't mean that they just punched through the stone.
No.
Right? But I always get this picture of someone just like, it's just going slow, but it's still just powering through it. It's like, how is that possible? Like, one of the reasons we spin ours really quickly is because it corrects for, like I've done a lot of, drilling through other materials, not necessarily, I've drilled through stone as well, but even, just, tile, whatever. If you want it to go fast, if you've ever, you can change your drill to go slowly, and what happens? It inevitably catches, and it tries to throw you off throws you off the damn scaffold, right? So like this image of something that's just like, it's like, dude,
That's kind of even more amazing than something that spins really quickly and just.
Yeah,
You know.
the way it goes, this could have been a quick process too. They certainly drilled an awful lot of damn holes.
Yeah.
And the holes got really big. It's like you couldn't imagine trying to do like an anthill hole that's like 9 inches or even
Right.
20
Yeah.
inches.
At Karnak.
It's like the biggest one I've ever seen. 20, it's almost 2 feet. It's
Yeah.
insanely huge.
And then I mean, we haven't gotten up there, but I bet you.
There's
You
a
know.
lip.
Yeah. And it's like this thin.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's the other thing, right? You see at the bottom where they snap these claws off in these holes. There's plenty of evidence for it. Obviously, it's found in all these places. Even at Giges, there's the tubular drill at the front of the third point. The tool is very thick. It's not like a big, huge bar of copper or something that's going into it. There's some thin tool that's cutting
Yeah,
the
it looks
stuff
like
out.
an eighth of an inch or something, or even less.
Yeah. And Petrie knew this. He talks about it being spiral, and then he's just you can see him scratching his head. Like, oh, was it drill tips in a bronze tube? And then he says, well, it must have been like 2 or 3 or 4 tons of pressure. 4-inch tubular drill to penetrate.
that would
the
just
stone. He's
twist.
just guessing. It would just twist the edge. You never know how
Yeah.
tubular.
Even you put a ton of force on one of our drill and just.
All right, it's just gonna pop it. Yeah.
Well, and that's what.
I think it's
guys-
something else.
Yeah, well, that's what leads Chris Dunn and other people to speculate that it's some alternate technology. Now, he was, when he first wrote his article talking about this technology, he said he proposed ultrasonic drilling
Yeah.
as a possibility.
I want to do some tests and see.
Why?
Yeah.
With ultrasonic drill.
Yeah.
I mean, he could. I know. I mean, he
Back off.
he did. I don't know that he disproved it, but he backed off on it.
Yeah.
And he had good reason.
He suggested a thermal lens, ultrasonic.
EDM's another one.
Yeah.
Electrical discharge machine.
Yeah.
We just talked about as a possibility. We just don't. I think you can confidently say that it doesn't seem like the
Right. It's not. It's not a bow on a freaking.
Oh,
bucket.
come on,
Sand.
please. Don't boost me out.
Real quick, we're
Don't
gonna catch
boost
up
me
on
out.
the
Don't
super
do
chats.
that.
Thank you guys so much. Crypto Kev, $10. Hola. Loved your presentation on board the Nile cruise. Looks like you all had a blast.
We did.
Hope to see you
Around the
by
table, though.
Monoguni? Question mark?
Well,
Absolutely.
I've been harassing you guys to get certified.
Yeah. That's right. There's a reason we got dive certified, and yes, Yonaguni is in the plans.
Yeah.
Thank you.
$5 from Pix. Rock on Ben, Snake Rose, and Cosmic Summit. Good people doing good things. Yes, Cosmic Summit is coming up
Yep.
June 15th and 16th, right?
Yeah. The three of us will be there.
Don't let it Asheville, which is
Yeah, so we're going to Greensboro, and it's a beautiful
All right, one more minute. One more run.
hotel, big tower, and they've got awesome, amazing ballroom. It's going to be much more beautiful and awesome than the place we were at before. It's actually got like a little shopping mall type area, big courtyard covered outside the ballroom.
Nice.
There's a bar right there, and then there's this other special bar that can hold like 1,000 people. That's got like a whole disco feel and everything.
A bar that can hold 1,000 people.
It's a big place, and I guess it's upstate. I didn't actually get to go see it while we were working on it, but it's going to be a great place to do this conference.
Yeah.
So we're all looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see you there, Pix. And
Yeah.
yes,
Not Rex.
Rex.
$20 for night vision goggles.
Yeah, that would have been a good idea. That is a good idea, Rex.
Yeah, it is.
Bring them into
Okay.
Egypt.
Yeah.
yeah,
Can we get
that's
him through security?
Bruce.
We saw Bruce at the
Bruce at the,
yeah, the Calypso.
$20 more beer money.
Hey.
Dang it, Bruce. You never failed to deliver, sir.
Where's our Bruce beer?
That's, you know what?
That's a good time to pull out the Bruce beer. Look at it. Look at this thing.
I gotta get glasses.
Yeah, we're gonna need glasses for that. Maybe we'll take a break.
There's 2 glasses right there.
There we go. Wait, this one.
No, that one's not a glass.
Oh, we can
That's
use it.
one. I can go get. Yeah, it looks clean. We'll take a break in a minute, Bruce, and we're gonna drink this beer. This is from Naughty Brewing Company, San Diego, California. This is a Space Between the Stars Baltic Porter, 9.5%.
Yeah.
Maybe we should save it for the end of the show.
Save it for the end. Okay. Let's just take a shot of the beer.
Thank you so much, Bruce. We had a great time. He was also at the Eclipse event, and I hope we're coming to the summit.
Hey, burrito meowtang.
Meowtang!
Meowtang.
$5. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Come on, man.
Cosmic Summit, $100.
Hey.
What?
Thanks, George.
Thank you, George.
Thank you so much.
5184. What is that? It was a good comment though. 1-1.
It's probably last round.
Oh, is that how many people go fit in the bar?
Oh.
Wow.
Wow. That's a lot. Maybe that's how much you meant to donate. 5,000.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
George.
George. Yeah.
Yeah, we owe George some interviews.
Come
We gotta
on,
do
this
a little,
game. Fuck this game. I hate this game.
I guess it's a podcast, essentially. Yeah. Doing a little interview with him for the summit. Do that.
Yes.
We'll get that done soon.
Yep.
Dub Selector.
Hey, buddy.
Travis makes me my he does my live stream edits and cuts and runs edits. So
That's
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dubs Like.
We need
Thanks
another
for
Dub.
What a lovely guest you guys have.
Cool.
All right.
All right. We're going back to this. Where are we going?
Yeah.
Don't
Is
worry,
it break
close
time?
on it.
How long? Yeah, we've been doing 45 minutes. Let's take a break. We can get some glasses full of beer,
All right.
and we'll be right back. We're talking more Egypt. Thank you, guys.
Wait a minute. My music stopped. Oh no. It's actually just started.